Hope you're ready for a spicy one tonight, guys. Oh, yeah. Just look at this panel. Look at the panel that's assembled here for you guys tonight. Honestly, going to be a great show. Going to be a great show. So much to talk about in such little time. Do want to say a shout out to everybody that's here. Guys, please, thank you for being here tonight. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. You know, the same thing we say week in and week out. Shout out to the great Rob Jones, who's a Mooch Maniac family member. He couldn't make it. He says, can't make the live show again, Mooch. Looking forward to listening tomorrow. I appreciate what you do for the community, and no doubt be another great show. Rob, thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate that. Hope you enjoy the replay tomorrow. It will be phenomenal. That being said, guys, if you look at that description I wrote down there, and I didn't want to get too descriptive tonight. It's one of my shorter descriptions because I really didn't want to give too much of the show away. I wanted everyone to kind of come here with their own opinions, and I wanted the panel to come out with their own opinions and just see where we end up, because we're going to go from everything that we're talking about with the FTC, the CMA, of course. Then we're going to get into the awards show. We're going to get into some games that have just been released. And I really, as much as I'm the host here tonight, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm also going to be in the chat enjoying these panel members' opinions. So without further ado, let's just get to this. I want to thank each one of these Mooch Maniac family members. And the list is growing, guys. It means so much to me that you guys continue to stay with the channel. The great Jimmy Harrison, he says, the super chat's working. It's a miracle. What's up, brothers? Persona, hit me up on Twitter, bro. There you go. Persona's already got a request. The great Jimmy Harrison. Jimmy, great to see you here tonight. But let me shout out the great Surex Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, the great TrueWiddy, Big Chart 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here, Andy Hart, DadOfWar, Isaac Gentry, ArchWarAngel, Red Hood 420, Hustle and Motivate, Ham Solo 5 Gaming, and Rob Jones, of course, our newest Mooch Maniac, and our major Mooch Maniacs. He's back home. He's back home. He's eating well. He's got his own room back. The great Smokes 901 is back. Julian Johnson, a.k.a. Juju. Shout out to Juju. DC Gaming, Miko, Slain Chilean, the great Gaming with Persona, who you might hear from real soon, and Jay Bari, who've got What's Up PlayStation tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Guys, make sure to check that out. Domino Zero, Supreme Samurai, Who Are You 5, your boy Roy, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, That Guy Smitty, 4-Star General, Brian B., a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Fork Boy Gaming, Shadow Assassin, Strictly! Yes, I got my voice back, guys. My voice is back from last week when I lost it. Strictly Gaming, shout out to Strict. The Wise Old Gamer, and our honorable mentions, they're out there without food, water, or toilet. Percolator 9000, the great Marty Bison, Fake Man Bear Pig, Ashish Rana. Guys, come back home. And our forever Mooch Maniacs. Shout out to Longshot 316 and the great Optimus Code. Guys, again, just before we go ahead and get to this amazing Adeus panel we have assembled for you, please hit the like button. It means the world to me, and it really helps the channel. Don't forget as well, guys, as we go through these, later on when you're listening to the replay, feel free to comment below. Definitely put something in the comments. Let us know how you're feeling on all these topics. But without further ado, you guys know him as Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, but tonight he'll be known as the Federal Trade Commission. The FTC's here with us. BRAP! How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm here on behalf of the FTC.
Thank God.
To collect tears.
Oh, I hope you have a big pan. So,
I might need more than a big pan.
No, great to have you here, Brap. Great to have you here, buddy.
It's great to be here. By the way, great panel this evening.
Oh, it is great phenomenal. Panel. We have another gentleman that's joining us in a very, very short period of time, too. Asante will be joining us as well. So he's just wrote me and said, Mooch, I'm running about 5-10 minutes late. So it is a great panel. This is an outstanding panel. And listen, I try, Brap, every week to kind of assemble the panel to fit what the hottest topics are. I pay attention to what's going on Twitter. I see who's got the hottest debates going on, and that's why I want to bring them and their opinions to the show. So, Brap, outstanding recognition to the panel. Let's get to our special guest real quick here. He needs no introduction. He's a Mooch Maniac family member. He's basically in the house. He games upstairs. The great Gaming with Persona's back on the show. Persona, listen, I hate to take you away. I really do. I hate taking you away from your gaming on Friday night. But sometimes I just got to do it. But I'm happy you're here, and I appreciate you stepping off for a second. Spend some time on CrossFire. Buddy, how you doing tonight?
Oh, FTC? Hello, hello, FTC?
Too good, man.
Oh, my God. That's funny.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yo, Mooch, listen. You caught me at a good time. Because, I'm feeling a lot better, man. I was sick throughout the week, man. So you definitely caught me at a good time.
Glad you're better.
And thank you, appreciate it. Shout out to everybody on the panel, man. Can't wait to chop it up with everybody. And shout out to your chat as well. It's always good, to be here on this side of YouTube with the Mooch Maniacs and the Mooch family.
Yes.
Y'all definitely, you have welcomed me. You have accepted me into the fold.
Yes.
You understand? So,
Absolutely.
no more, oh, why did you bring that guy on the show? None of that anymore, Mooch, which is always good. Because, whenever I see that, it would hurt my feelings. Okay? I have feelings too.
You do
right?
have feelings. I got Persona.
So,
you have become a fan favorite in the chat. That's what I got to say. Sure.
Thank you, man. It's but yeah, I can't wait to talk about everything, man. It's gonna be a really great show, like always. Entertaining, lots of laughs. So yeah, I can't wait, man. Thanks for having me.
You got it, Persona. You got it. And listen, since we have such delicate subjects tonight, guys, you know this. I hate to also break this individual away from his family. He works hard all week, has his family to take care of. What does he do? He comes here and speaks the voice of reason for you. Because let's be honest, tonight, even myself, I'll go ahead and say right now, the fanboy just kind of creeps out of all of us, doesn't it? But that's why the great Eric Jackson's here. He's here to kind of put people in place. He'll do it to me. He'll do it to anybody. Eric, it's great to have you back on the show, buddy. And I got to tell you, tonight's one of those nights that you're going to really need the degree that you have in keeping people sane. So, Eric, welcome to the show tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I can't make a guarantee that I'll keep it together because people are crazy as hell out there this week, man. And it's like when you hit me up, I was like, I can't miss this week.
I appreciate that.
Too much to talk about. It's insane. So yeah, let's get into it, man. Like, hey, this panel, happy to be here. Let's go.
Eric, you feel free to interrupt me anytime you want tonight, okay? Because listen, I got news for you. Maybe sometimes we go off the rails. So Eric, I appreciate you being here tonight. By the way, shout out to the great Zuby Tech. It's very late over there in Europe, and he's awake and well. All the information he gives for all the great podcasters out there. Zuby, I use a lot of your information, so I want to say thank you up front. I appreciate you being here in the chat as well as show support. Let's be honest here. It's been a while since we had this individual on. The great creative Kofi's back, and I thought since we're talking so much PlayStation, we're going to be talking a lot of games that were shown yesterday at the Game Awards. To get the expertise from the great creative Kofi is just beyond glorious for myself personally. Kofi, welcome back to the show, buddy. It's been way too long. I'll take responsibility for that, but it's good to have you back. How you doing this evening?
Yo, I am so excited, man. These intros already got me on cloud nine. Yes, it has been a long time. I actually remember the last time we spoke on your podcast was when I got my PlayStation 5, was launch day, 2022 years ago.
That's a long
time. So it has
time.
been a long time since we've spoken. I'm really excited to talk about the VGAs, one of my favorite VGAs ever.
Mm-hmm.
But most likely, I just want to talk about, I finally finished God of War. That game, it's just wonderful.
It really is.
It's been really nice, man.
It really is.
A lot of
It was a great game. I believe it or not, I'm just about rounding the end of it. I'm at about 40. I think I'm at 46 hours. I've been told if I want to complete it to 100%, I have to get what's well over 51 to 54 hours to complete this game.
That's what kind of held me back,
right?
Yeah, I'm in the final trials. Obviously, we're not talking spoilers, but yeah, I'm in the final trials, and I have to. There's like this weird pattern you have to do to unlock them, and it takes a little bit, but.
Yeah, we won't do no spoilers, guys, even though the game's been out for a while now, and I know all you guys are hardcore gamers, but we won't do any spoilers. But last but certainly not least here, the Great Broken Games is back with us. BG's been absolutely on fire this week on Twitter. It's just, if you don't follow him on Twitter, I don't know what you're doing on Twitter. I got to be honest with you. Like, I don't know what you're
probably
doing.
hate me.
Yo,
BG been out there battling silliness all week.
BG, listen, I gotta be honest with you. We all got our war wounds from out there. So the Great Broken Games is with us. You guys all know from Weapon Wheel Podcast Sunday nights. BG, listen, there's gonna be a lot of great topics tonight. Welcome to the show. How you doing tonight? And I can't wait to get your takes.
Yeah, man. I'm glad to be on the show. A lot of stuff happened, especially within the last few days. So, we got a lot to talk about. Glad to be here, man.
Thank you, BG. And honestly, we always like to put the guests on the hot seat first here, BG. Nothing that shocks you. You've been on the show many times before. So let's just start with it. It's a generic question, and then I kind of will break it up into 27 different parts. But I just want to get from the top level. The FTC suing Microsoft to block the deal with Microsoft and Activision. BG, in your opinion, how did we get here? Because you podcast every week, you do videos every week, your ears to the ground. We were told this deal was going through. It would be hard to realize this game not going through. Yes, maybe because some concessions would have to take place, and we all knew that, but they would never get to the point where the FTC would block it. So, BG, just your opinion on the whole situation and what you've seen transpire in the last 24 hours. BG, did I lose you? Can I, Persona, can anybody else? I was
The FTC has intervened because we will not partake in any slander towards the organization. I'm just joking.
No, go, go, BRAP. You had a lot to say. I don't know if BG, his microphone went out.
Yeah, my bad. I said my headset just like literally died right at the end of that.
Okay. No problem, my BG. Yo, did you hear the question or you did not?
No, just repeat the question real quick.
The question was basically the FTC is suing Microsoft right now, okay, to block the deal.
Right.
That news is out there. But my question to you is very top level. I have a lot of different subsection questions to ask you, but from a top level, how did we get here? What has really transpired since from when this was first announced, BG, that we heard from everybody that this deal was going to go through to where we are from 24 hours ago now where the block is coming through? How did we get to where we are right now?
So I'm not the expert on this because I purposely try not to follow all the details on this, right? I'm not the dude on Twitter reading all 40 pages of whatever investigation going on and writing letters to the FTC. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm not reading nothing. I'm not writing nothing to nobody, right? So I just know the headlines of what I see on Twitter Twitter about it. But what I will say is from all the experts, because there are actual experts, I'm not talking about the Twitter experts, there are a few, actual legal professionals out there who did make it seem like this acquisition and everything would just go through smoothly. There would just be no real hiccups, no problems along the way. It's a 99.99% chance of going through, easy,
right,
smooth. And that hasn't been the case. I still think it's going to go through, right? That seems to be more than likely. It's just little few road bumps, but I am surprised at how many things have been getting in the way of it. And because even the legal experts say it was going to be no problem. It's going to happen, without any of this that's been happening. And I just enjoy the part of it where they're kind of like everybody's getting thrown under the bus because Sony and Microsoft are both trying to prove something. They're both trying to sandbag themselves,
right,
and make the other companies seem like the big bad bully, because they want to seem like the weakling because that helps their stance in this. So I really enjoy everybody getting thrown. Nintendo's getting thrown under the bus. EA's getting thrown under the bus. Everybody. It's just it's muddy, It's so I enjoy that part of it. Just the absolute shit that comes out of it, like Phil Spencer just looking like he's having a terrible night last night. Because I'm like, how do you even enjoy the how do you even enjoy the Game Awards when you have this shit going on? You have to constantly, deal with that. So I enjoy everything about it outside of the actual acquisition stuff.
So, BG, real quick question, just to follow up. When you say, and I've heard a lot of people say this, whether not just us, like I said, we're reading headlines, we're maybe reading a few lines deeper than that. But even some of the people that are the professionals, some of them are saying, I still feel like it'll go through. So there's two ways to look at this, right? They're trying to set an example here with big tech, and they're trying to make an example here with these a conglomerate purchase like this. So is it more along the lines that they're trying to use this and make this as an example to finally put a kibosh on, a stop to these types of purchases? Or is it legitimately going to be, this is only being done to make further concessions and then the deal will go through? I mean, because if it's the primary, in my opinion, that would mean that the deal would probably not go through. I've even seen people, and I won't mention any names, but people on Twitter that are, I got to say, this is a respected opinion. They said, the FTC may be doing this because Microsoft doesn't want to go to court for 2 years. So they might want to just end up packing up, pay the couple of $1 billion they got to pay. It's less than getting tied up in court forever and then losing.
At the bare minimum, they don't want to send the message that you can make a $70 billion acquisition with all these developers, all these assets, all these games, and not face any type of pushback.
Well said.
Because that's gonna that sends the wrong message to anybody with money. That just because you have the money that you can make any type of wild move or acquisition or push. So I think it could be just posturing. and sending a message to others like, hey, we don't want to make this look easy.
Yeah.
So let's put up at least a front that, there'll be some challenges along the way if anybody else tries, because this is the biggest, acquisition in, I think they said in like entertainment, not only gaming, just entertainment in general.
Yes.
So, you got to send a message and set a precedent for it.
Okay, Persona, I know you got a lot to say on this. Persona, I just want to and E, by the way, if you want to jump in, go ahead. But I know that Persona's been chomping at the bit here. Persona, you heard what BG just said. You heard what I said. But when it comes down to it, is it more of them putting that front up to say you cannot just have trillions of dollars and go buy everything you want? I mean, because they went and bought Bethesda ZeniMax. They have that in their pocket. They went and bought a series of small teams, Obsidian and Ninja Theory, et cetera. But when you comes down to it here, you can clearly see that Microsoft's doing twofold. They are keeping these games currently. They're saying they're not going to do it with Activision, but they did it with Bethesda ZeniMax. They're keeping these games inside their own echo chamber, where they're keeping it their own Xbox existence, if you will, and they're going to put it into Game Pass. They're going to make Game Pass much more valuable looking to the customer, which I get. But at the end of the day, Sony's making IP, Nintendo's making new IP. It seems like Microsoft is buying IP, which, again, I don't have a problem with, but where do you cap it?
Yeah, I think when it comes to a lot of this stuff, first off,
hello, FTC.
I think the FTC, what people don't understand is the FTC is doing their job. You understand? Their job is to, scrutinize deals like this, look at deals like this, and weigh it against, antitrust, competitive laws, all that stuff. I'm not a regulator. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm well versed like that to even you feel me? Like I'm not.
I hear you.
What I mean, I'm just speaking. Yeah. I can only speak from my perspective based on how I know the market, how it looks, what regulators are supposed to do, and so on. So when it comes to this deal and when it comes to what's happening, it was absolutely expected that this stuff would happen because, again, you have one of the largest acquisitions attempts in history, right? We're talking, $70 billion. That's for a fucking game publisher.
Right.
That's a lot of money. So when you're dealing with a lot of that stuff, of course there's going to be a lot of eyes on that. And so I don't think it's wrong what the FTC is doing. Mm-hmm. I just think it's expected. It's their job. It's what needs to be done.
So do you think? So you think at the end of the day, where we sit right now, then Persona, you think that this was inevitable? Because I mean this with zero sarcasm, zero. Because we've been talking about it week in and week out, and I've been told that this was not going to happen. This was going to go through. Yes, maybe a concession here or there, but it would have been a deal that was done between Sony and Microsoft and whoever. Maybe Nintendo as well. We'll get into that in a minute. I'm going to get into the whole Nintendo 10-year deal thing in a moment. But I mean, I thought this was all going to be taken care of before it got to an FTC level where all companies agreed. It seemingly didn't get that far. So do you think this was inevitable? I stand on the island of no, I didn't.
No, so from the very beginning, no. I didn't think this was inevitable for multiple reasons. One of the biggest reasons is the fact that it was always going to be a 50-50 because of the kind and caliber of this acquisition. When you're looking at somebody like Activision, you're not just looking at Activision, the console FPS maker that has the top FPS game or one of the most successful games in the gaming industry, but you're also looking at Activision, who also owns King, which has one of the some of the highest and most successful mobile app games as well. Then you're looking at Activision Blizzard, which also has some of the most successful games that dominate the PC market as well. So when you're looking at Activision, you're looking at three umbrellas and three separate sectors of the gaming industry that all are housed under one mega company like Activision and dominates within this industry and within this market. So yes, from that perspective, you got a lot of fanboys and a lot of people on Twitter that don't really pay attention to politics, don't pay attention to these types of things, don't follow business, and all this other stuff that'll tell you, oh yeah, it's gonna go through, because their fanboy brain can't see past anything else, or they can't look at things objectively, right? But if we're looking at things objectively and from a business perspective, or looking at it from a competition perspective overall,
right?
Absolutely, this deal was always going to be a 50-50 chance. It was never going to be 80-20, no, it's always going to be a 50-50 from the start.
Persona, I agree with what you and BG are saying, because let's put it this way. Let's say there was no scrutiny. Let's say that there wasn't going to be a lawsuit going through with the FTC. What's to stop Microsoft after Activision to buying Ubisoft or anything else? I just picked one at random. That's the thing. Yeah. So where does the line draw? I mean, BRAP, you actually did some due diligence as well. I saw you with a few others, and I have the messages here in my DMs and in notifications that there was people saying, "Oh, wait a minute, though, the FTC lied." They didn't lie. There's definitely a clause that reads as such that does allude to the possibility, and that Microsoft would not seemingly give away, not keep those Bethesda titles in-house. And that's what they did. Mm-hmm. It's not that they made the promise that they wouldn't, but there was a clause in there. I'm going to put the clause up on screen, but BRAP, can you speak to it a bit? Because you were really going back and forth on Twitter about it.
Well, yeah, there was that thing on Reset Era that ML, whatever I think it's called. It's a antitrust, like
MLEX or something, yeah.
MLEX, yeah, media site. They do a lot of posting and articles on antitrust and things that are in under regulatory review, and basically people ran with that. Hey, the EU rebutted what the FTC was saying was, and the FTC in part of their what they mentioned in the lawsuit, or the suit to block the deal, and there it is right there. The FTC's basically saying, hey, look, Microsoft has promised in the past to not take games away. And Phil Spencer's funny. He even said it doesn't make there's no incentive for us financially to take COD off a PlayStation. Now, what you have shown up here is actually a document by the EU based on what Microsoft said to the EU. Now, this is where people got confused. So people were saying that the FTC lied and said that Microsoft never promised anything to the EU, and the EU confirmed as much. But what the EU was commenting was that no, they didn't have any formal agreement in place, no formal concession with Microsoft. But what Microsoft did do was say, hey, therefore, and this is it right here, therefore, according to the notifying party, which is Microsoft, yes. Would not have the incentive to cease or limit making ZeniMax games available for purchase on rival consoles. Now, what the FTC is saying is, look, Microsoft has said this before, and then they introduce, if you want to say to evidence, Redfall and Starfield as games that are now been taken away from rival consoles. So what the FTC is trying to do here, and the stance they're taking, and this is only one of many stances they're taking against this deal, is that, hey, look, Microsoft has said to regulators in the past they're not going to take things away, but when the deals go through, they have. So people were conflating what the FTC was saying. The FTC actually never said there was no. The FTC never said that the EU had a formal agreement with Microsoft that Microsoft would never take things away from rival consoles.
Right.
The FTC never said that. The FTC only alluded to that Microsoft had previously, in conversation to other regulatory bodies, the EU in this case, that they have said those things, made those verbal assurances. Verbal assurances aren't the same as me signing a piece of paper and a concession that a regulatory body could go back to and say, wait a minute, BRAP, we have this agreement on paper. It's not, you're not living to your end of the bargain here. That's not what happened. And so people were conflating, and that's kind of what I was, and unfortunately it took, Hogue Law to basically kind of confirm what I was saying. And people were like, oh, okay. I was going back and forth with somebody. They're like, oh, well, Hogue confirmed it. So I guess you're right, BRAP. It's like, look, it's not that hard to figure out. I mean, it's right there in front of you, plain as day. Yeah. But people, for whatever reason, I don't understand this, they have their emotions into this. People are, and I see it in the live chat, people are, villainizing the FTC. They're putting on their WWE hats. They're putting on their ring entrance music. They're running down to the ring like it's the Royal Rumble, like they're the Ultimate Warrior. and they're hoping for the.
I would run out to Big Show's music. I love the Big Show's music. Or
I
Undertaker.
would run out the
Well,
Big Show.
it's the Big
Fuck
Show.
yeah. I love the Big Show and the Undertaker. But okay, my fault.
No,
Oh, the Undertaker?
And BRAP, let me,
Absolutely.
I do want to say shout out
But,
to the
yeah.
great Jeff Grubbs in the chat. Jeff is the one that made the great comment about people were writing Jeff left and right. And again, Jeff, I'm paraphrasing, so I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm not going to say, because everybody blames Jeff. They're like, oh, Jeff tweeted this. And Jeff's like, I didn't tweet that. But Jeff had said
Jeff gets that a lot, by the way.
He does. He gets that a lot. But Jeff had a great point to somebody where he was like, this isn't necessarily what you guys think how it will play out. This could also just keep Microsoft from wanting to go to court, because you're talking about it could be years where they're in court. And on top of that, he goes, that would cost them an exuberant amount of money. They're better off cutting their losses and just walking away from this now, or something to that effect. Jeff, I don't want to put words on the tweet, but it was an outstanding tweet.
That's highly plausible as well, though. That's not no fanboy rhetoric. That's just a company weighing their options versus how much they've already invested in this, how much time they've invested, how much negative press, positive press, all that stuff.
I mean, Persona's not wrong. Time is money, and we talked about the bean counters last week. There's going to be finance people at some point that may look at this and say, wait a minute, like, you invested so much time and effort into trying to make this acquisition happen. Does it make sense for us financially just to cut bait and just leave?
Right.
Because, they're in litigation right now. And from what I've been reading, this litigation could get tied up for years. And so does Microsoft want to do that? And/or is this a move? And again, I'm just spitballing here. Is this a move by the FTC to maybe, because we know that per reporting that Microsoft was actually at the table with the FTC the night before this was announced. And so I'm wondering if, and again, like Brad Smith's comments were kind of interesting. He said something like, we're all for peace, and it's like, okay, well, if you're all for peace, and if you're not for peace, it means you're about war, you're for war. And I thought it was kind of interesting coming from him, because he's a C-level executive at Microsoft now, and he's, he's kind of like the legal, I guess, point of contact here for Microsoft in this deal, but or in discussions with the FTC. But I'm wondering if that conversation happened at the table, and the FTC walked away with whatever Microsoft proposed to them, and they're like, you know what, that's not good enough, and maybe, just maybe, this is a way for the FTC to kind of push Microsoft to making whatever concessions they want Microsoft to make that happen. And I wonder if that's the other piece that's happening and why they decided to block. Who knows? I mean, I still think maybe this deal goes through. I'm saying it's, I was talking to Grubb at DM. He says 60-40. I'm saying it's 50-50. I'm saying it's 50-50 whether this happens, because I didn't think that the FTC would sue to block this deal. I just didn't see that happening. And let me tell you something else.
I agree with Grubb. I think at this point it's definitely 60-40 for sure. At this point, like before this 50-50. After that block announcement, 60-40.
Because don't forget, you also got the CMA that's also not in favor of it, right?
Once the announcement happened, both Microsoft and Activision stock took a dip. Not no crazy dip, but an investor or two definitely pulled out.
And the people,
and did you
go ahead, BG?
The people who just really emotionally invested in this, like,
it's
keeping close track and reacting on Twitter, it's just so odd, because what are you? They are reacting as if they have way more to win from this than they actually do.
Right.
Like, okay, if this deal goes through, what do you get? Games and Game Pass. Is that really, like, is that is that benefit really worth losing your mind over? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a lottery ticket. Like, that's how they're reacting. Like somebody is withholding a lottery, like a Mega Millions check from them or something like that. And I'm like, I just personally don't understand, because and with Sony's part, it's like they're so mad at the politicians and they're mad at PlayStation. PlayStation is stealing from me, and that's how they feel. And it's like, bro, everybody's just doing their job. Like, PlayStation, Jim Ryan probably assumes that this is likely going to go through, but as somebody who gets a lot of profit from Call of Duty and some of this other stuff, he's not exactly supposed to lay down. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, even if I absolutely believe, Yeah, even if I absolutely believe you're going to get this, I'm not supposed to make it easy. That's literally my job. I'm not supposed to make it easy. At least I'm supposed to try to delay it, knock it down the road as much as I can, cause you further aggravation, because yes, they are competitors. Even though I know that they like to try to make the industry seem like, oh, these execs are not like really competing with one another, and these companies are not competing, bro. They're definitely competing, and it's not all sunflowers and daisies behind the scenes. I'm sure Phil Spencer is muttered a few words under his breath about Jim Ryan in private. You think he loves Jim Ryan? Come on.
BG, they're never getting on stage holding hands again at any kind of VGAs. Nope. I can guarantee you that.
Not with Jim Ryan. That should have happened with Sean later.
With Sean, but yeah.
Jim Ryan, hell no.
Well, shout out to Jeff Grubb. He says here, I said 60-40 just for the FTC. If you factor in other regulators, only 40% chance it goes through. And I think that's what Jeff was saying. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but I really thought when he said this, I said that it holds a lot of water. If they cut their losses now, they save $1 billion. And I know people go,
Mooch,
what's $1 billion? It's $1 billion. That's what $1 billion is. It's a lot.
Yeah, or they could lose $3 billion. Like there's a part where this deal, the amount that they owe Activision will go up. The other thing I want to say is to what Persona and BG were saying, like these agencies are just the FTC is just doing their job. And historically, if you go back and you look at some of these big acquisitions that the FTC's approved, it was fairly easy for big acquisitions or mergers to happen. ExxonMobil happened, Verizon. You look at the consolidation in the cable television industry, which I don't think's benefited consumers. There's actually some data points out there that suggest that it hasn't benefited consumers because of increased price to consumers. And so what the FTC is doing now is saying, wait a minute, has the FTC as a regulatory body been too lenient in allowing mergers, acquisitions? Shouldn't we at least challenge these things? Like instead of just saying, oh, you know what, it's cool, everything looks good, let's go, green light, have at it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I mean, throughout our country's history, the country and I say the country, I mean like the government has kind of taken steps back and reevaluating laws and policies. I mean, that's what governments do, and that's what the FTC is doing in this case. So they're doing their job, and that's it. And no one should be mad about that. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And at the end of the day, this deal doesn't go through. It's not the end of the world. You still get COD. You're still going to have COD on Xbox. And
it literally changes nothing except
it doesn't change anything. You still get it.
Except for list war bragging right? It doesn't change anything that's going on currently right now. And that's the funny part. That's where the emotion comes in, where you see people saying, writers included, people out there, oh my God, they're going to wake the sleeping giant. Like if this doesn't go through, all hell could break loose for Microsoft and you just go crazy. That's like, well, no, that's your emotional fanboy side jumping in there. There's reason and things that companies do, the things that they do, and they're calculated in the things that they do.
So really quick,
it doesn't mean that they're just gonna like scorched earth. That's what you would do as a fanboy in a boardroom,
So
right.
I have a question about that kind of plays devil's advocate, because I personally agree with you. I think that the acquisition they've already done with Bethesda, they have enough studios to make a cavalcade of games that could make a lot of people really happy. But I'm thinking that Microsoft wants to go with this subscription model to a number that we've never seen before, and them not having something as big as Activision Blizzard, do you think it would impact that vision of theirs? They want to reach a billion gamers, which we all believe is unrealistic here. But if Microsoft is kind of cut off from a major publisher / IP owner like them, do you think that's going to change their strategy? Are they going to immediately turn to Ubisoft and do a smaller acquisition? Or I think they should limit their scope personally and focus on quality. But
so the thing is, Kofi, and I'll be honest with you, this is kind of something we've said over and over again. I don't think, yes, Call of Duty is a very big part of this deal. However, and I think you can even see Jeff Grubbs mention it a few times, it's really the acquisition of getting King and attacking the mobile market.
Right.
Microsoft wants part of that pie that Apple's enjoying the entire feast of, basically, right now. They want to get in there. They want to do that. They don't have that market at all right now. They don't have the means to do that. So that's why this deal means so much to them. And that's why Phil, I think, is so gracious to say, whatever you want with Call of Duty. The thing is I'll say this much. And I don't know, I said it way back when, but now that we're at the point where we are with the FTC and the possible, the possible court hearings, I think really, if it comes down to it, if you said to Sony, what is it you really want? I don't know if they would agree to this, but they would say any brand new, all the old Call of Duties, throw them in Game Pass. Don't care. But every new Call of Duty, so let's just say Modern Warfare 2 that just came out, that game in particular would not be able to go into Game Pass for at least 12 months. Then it can go into Game Pass when the next one comes out. But the next new one cannot go into Game Pass for 12 months. I think Sony would say something like that would be fair with the game, because at that point, you're just putting the old catalog in there and it's fair play for the new Call of Duty, because then they could still have a deal for it, or maybe they could still do something with it. I don't know. I have no idea. Or at least it wouldn't be that much of a hit, because right now there's no way Sony can really compete when they have a $70 game and the other one is going to be either $1 on the competing brand, on the competing platform, or free with a 3-month subscription. You know what I mean? So you could either get this game for free on Xbox moving forward, or $1. Or maybe even $10, right? Versus the $70 price tag on PlayStation. That's part of where I think Sony feels this is an unfair thing. Then I think it's more of the Game Pass effect. That's what I think. I could be wrong, and I have no problem being wrong, but I think that's really what Sony's trying to fight here. Microsoft's trying to say we don't care. We just want King, and we just want, the mobile market aspect of this. But let me ask Eric a question. Eric, I'll go to you first, and I'll go to Kofi. And Asante, by the way, the great K Asante is here. Asante was late, but Asante, I appreciate you being here, buddy. I will definitely get to you in a moment. I appreciate you coming to the show. Eric, when it comes down to it, there was a report that came out from analytical site MLex, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong. Sony reportedly believes Microsoft's deal with Nintendo for COD, that whole 10-year thing that we saw, was, in quotes, smoke and mirrors and misleading. And that current Call of Duty, in quotes again, could never work on Nintendo Switch. Otherwise, Activision would have already done it. So I said this. I thought that whole thing that Microsoft did, and I know that the joke, everyone's like, well, Mooch, they do business over in Japan. I understand they do business in Japan. But when Nintendo announces their video games or announces a direct, they announce it usually at 8 a.m. Eastern Time or 6 a.m. Eastern Time, not 12 a.m. Eastern Time. So it looked like it was a big publicity stunt, honestly, because Call of Duty going to Nintendo, that doesn't really move the needle in any direction. Call of Duty was on the Wii U, and it did horribly. It's just not. It's not that. That's not the. That's just not the customer. That's not the consumer base there. But Eric, what do you think with all that? Was that a publicity stunt, you think, for Xbox to flex and go, look, we've got Nintendo. Steam kind of didn't sign their agreement, but Steam said that they're still, they would still back Microsoft, because why would Microsoft not put Call of Duty on Steam? So where were you on that whole thing?
Mooch, it was 100% a teenager who did some messed up shit and got in trouble, and then taking out the garbage like AJ did with like Tony Soprano. You remember that? It was like,
yes.
What's wrong with your face? That kind of thing. It's 100% that. It's like, we need something that kind of like, like you said, the smoke and mirrors type of thing, because it's like, who is looking to play a competitive shooter on a Switch? Even with cloud streaming and everything, people think, well, they could do it with cloud. No one's doing that.
They're not.
And if there was a market, and honestly, if there was a market for it and a reason for it, Activision would have done it already.
Absolutely, and it's just that's just not the demographic. That's not the consumer base that's going to buy this game. And honestly, Nintendo signing a 10-year deal or a 20-year deal with Microsoft, it doesn't change Sony's stance at all. I think Microsoft was trying to flex and say, we've got Nintendo, we've got Steam. The only people not cooperating is PlayStation. And I honestly think it really it blew up in their face. I don't think it worked at all.
That's bullshit too, though, because what the hell is a commitment without a contract? Like,
right?
That's bullshit, man.
And then, and on top of that persona, was like, well, look, and then Gabe's out there talking about Steam, and everyone knows that Gabe Newell has a bone to pick, like with Sony. So he's always thrown his hat into the arena with Microsoft.
Yeah,
and on top of that,
it's a lot of showboating like that.
Right? What changes for him by them making? Of course, he's like, we don't need an agreement from them because we're Steam.
Yep.
Right.
It benefits them to be there no matter what. I don't care if they give us an agreement or not, because being here is beneficial to them. But again,
Exactly.
all this focus on Call of Duty, and again, the whole King thing is really where it's at, and that's why they're like, we'll give you our firstborn, just please let this go away and let this happen, because so much hinges on this mobile side of things.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Asante, I'll get you in here real quick. Asante, by the way, welcome to the show again. So where are you on this whole FTC thing? And we're not going to spend the entire show on it. We do have the Game Awards and other things to get to, but I want to get Asante and Kofi's final thoughts on this before we move on. Asante, where were you on the last 24 hours when I think you were even on the show when everybody said, don't worry, it'll never get to the FTC blocking it, but here we are.
I think it's absolutely interesting. I'm enjoying myself. I got the popcorn out. I'm enjoying
Me too, yes.
It's happening.
Buttered and salted. Let's go, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And of course, those that know that I do a show with the man, Mr. Everborn Saga, who does spend a lot of time digging through those details. He finds it super interesting.
Yes.
Lawyers and all of that. Speaks with
Hey,
lawyers.
so he has an ulterior motives, though.
Oh yeah, of course. He is sharpening his tools in the gauntlet of debate. I understand what he's doing. I just think as far as what we think about all of this, I find it super interesting because I was one of those on the camp that said, "Oh, I don't see this going for to be blocked," because by and large, up until now. Well, okay, I wouldn't say up until now because the prior iteration of the FTC also had ulterior motives, clearly. But up until now, it has always been about merit. Hey, does this thing hit that threshold or not? And in this specific instance, from what it looks like right now, that's the last thing they're worried about. There is very much a debate to be had whether it hits that merit threshold or not. But it's like, we may or may not have a case, but we know how to slow walk it to make it even more painful for you. Do you want to go through that? That's where it seems that they are right now, which I find super interesting. Now, I will say right from that, I was putting the kids to bed, so I wasn't on the show, but I was listening in, and by and large, no one has said anything I disagree with on this show right now. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think this is a merit conversation, because if it's a merit conversation, that's where I tend to want it to be. Yeah. Like, should this reach that threshold that they stop it or they don't stop it? That's a debate I find super interesting because there's precedent there, years and years. And whether you like it or not, the guy with the money should be able to buy the thing they want to buy if they meet that threshold. That's the debate that I enjoy. But it seems that there's a lot of prior context that's going on here that's not letting that debate happen, right? And whether you are on the side of it meets that threshold or you're on the side of it doesn't meet that threshold, that's not the conversation they're having right now. It's like Lena Khan is having that conversation of, well, there is a huge, even experts are saying, well, they might not end up in court, but yeah, by the time they get to court, you already be in breach of contract, and it doesn't matter. You can win, but we'll still stop you from getting this thing done, right? So it's super, super interesting. When they have that merit conversation, I'll want to pay closer attention. Yeah. But right now, where it's all about this and that, I'm just grabbing my popcorn. I'm not sure who said it on the panel. I think somebody said it. Like, to me right now, if the FTC was the only one like doing what they're doing now, because we know how America tends to be sometimes when it comes to this kind of stuff that's politically leaning, right? If it was only the FTC that was having this back and forth with them, I'd just be enjoying myself with the popcorn and sitting back, and that's it. But because the CMA is still kind of eyeballing the situation, and the way they do things when they make their decision, the CMA and the EU, exactly. Less so the CMA, from what I can tell, less so the EU, more the CMA, from what I can tell so far. And of course, we have
that's what it seems, yeah.
Finally. But it seems like if they make that final deliberation, and you can't argue with the process and how they got there and get cat on them, you're done. There is no recourse. Right? There is no recourse. Whereas the FTC, you can give all the bad faith arguments you want. If you got the money and you want to fight it, you'll fight it, and eventually you'll win, right? It'll just be comical and delay, which is what's happening right now. But while this is happening, the CMA can say, see, even in your home country, these questions are valid, and as such, we'll deliberate. And even if later on Microsoft wins, which by and large, many of the experts say, hey, they have precedent on their side. When this all shakes out, they may hate big tech, and Microsoft is now the big tech du jour. When it all shakes out, the simple idea of guy with money in pocket wanted to buy this thing, and the context on the ground, monopolistic and all of that, none of it hits the threshold, they'll be fine. But it's not about that. It's not about the merit of it. It's not about the righteousness of it. It's about, we don't like you, so we are going to do what we need to do to make sure that you don't accomplish the task you want. And you, Microsoft, are out there being a little bit too flippant, coming out there being a little too bold. So we're going to show you what tools we have at our disposal to bring you down a peg. That's what it looks like is happening right now. And it is what it is. As has already been said on this panel, like, it's not going to change anything, right? The people who get.
Well, we were saying it before the show started, Asante, is we were saying this is all about list wars, right? This is just saying, I got this on Game Pass. I can play this for $1. You guys can't. You got to pay $70. When realistically, and it's funny because I play Call of Duty like religiously. It's the reason I don't get a lot of my other backlog done. I actually blame Call of Duty for that. It's a me problem. But my point being is that a lot of people that are arguing with me or anybody I see people arguing on Twitter all the time, they don't even play Call of Duty.
Yeah, they probably don't play Call of Duty.
They don't. They don't. They don't play it at all. They have no interest in it at all. Like I like if somebody said I pick a great Need for Speed. Need for Speed is going to be owned by Microsoft and it's going to go on Game Pass. I'll be like, do you want me to help me? I'll help them move. I don't care. I don't play driving games. I just don't understand where there is that. And BRAP, I'll give you the mic in a second. Shout out to the great J-Dub. He goes, why are Xbox gamers taking this all so personal? Shout out to the great J-Dub City. He's back. Dipsy Doo is here. He says, Microsoft needs to tear up the contract with Sony for Azure. Well, Dipsy Doo's not happy about that at all. Shout out to Rebel Viking 912 and DJ Brother O for subscribing to the channel. Guys, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Capone in the chat, he goes, people arguing with Mooch? Never. Face, I see your super chat. I'm going to get to it as soon as I get done with BRAP and Kofi here. I want to talk to them real quick, but that's going to lead me right into my next topic. BRAP, did you have more to add on this before we switch over shortly?
Yeah, I was going to say with the EU, I think it's going to be really hard, even harder than the FTC, because the EU has fined Microsoft a lot for anti-competitive behavior. Even more recently, they fined Microsoft. Where basically what Microsoft was doing was, if you were a company and you had purchased Office 365, but you weren't storing Office 365 in Azure, they were basically like you were paying more for Office 365. Had you basically bundled it all together, it was cheaper, and the EU's like, no, you can't do that. Like you can't penalize people for not having Azure. If they want to use another cloud platform to house Office 365. So and those are some of the behaviors that are under consideration, I think, by these regulatory bodies, things that Microsoft has done previously. I mean, I would even argue that you probably pay more now for Office 365 as a subscription than you do previously. And I think that's something that gamers should consider. I know everyone talks about how Game Pass is this tremendous value, and I wouldn't argue that there's a value proposition there in Game Pass, but not everyone's going to see value in that.
Well, value is in the eye of the beholder. We say it all the time.
Exactly. So somebody who owns Game Pass who doesn't use it may actually be paying more money than they would if they weren't subscribed to Game Pass. I think, Mooch, you probably would fit that bill. I would too, actually, because I don't use Game Pass, and
I don't.
People hate hearing that though, man. When you say that, they're like, "How dare you?" That's
how
like
could you not be using Game Pass?
They do. E, and it's look,
time is a commodity, Enrique. Like sometimes,
exactly.
You don't have the time to do everything that's in there.
God of War, the Callisto Protocol, which here I own it, and I haven't started it yet because I want to get the platinum for God of War. I think even BG said this before. I stand behind this as well. You got to play a game. I want to play a game. I want to enjoy a game. I really don't want to play 4 or 5 games. It's not just the fact that you get lost in the story, but it's the mechanics and getting used to everything, the way that the game is played, the way that things are just progressing. To jump through 4 different games with my time the way I have it, it makes things very awkward. So when people say, Mooch, don't you like Game Pass? It's not that I don't like it, but I don't need it. Like, games come out that I want to play, and I'm having a hard enough time finishing the ones that just came out, let alone the ones that are, you know what I mean? Like, well, Mooch, you don't want to play Assassin's Creed from 2015? No, I don't. And most likely,
I don't either, Mooch.
Neither do you.
I don't. Look, I've been very critical of Microsoft this quarter. I didn't pay $500 to play games that were, released in 2012.
No, again, nothing wrong with old games.
And
I get it.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
no.
again, when that's the sales pitch to me as a consumer, that's not for me. If that's for you, that's fine.
That's
but
fine.
Me, the FTC consumer here, aka BRAP, look, that's not what I paid $500 for. Like I don't want that. And look, not everyone's good. Look, and I said this to somebody. I was having this conversation with somebody on Twitter. They're like, "Oh, it's an amazing value. There's gonna be this mass exodus of people going to Game Pass once they get caught." I'm like, no, like you only need to look at the numbers, the Game Pass numbers right now, to know that it's not a absolute. Because if it was an absolute and everyone saw value in it, you'd have 100% attach rate to Game Pass. You just don't have that right now.
Yeah. No, I think you'd see Microsoft bragging about the numbers.
Oh, absolutely, you would. But that shows you that data point shows you that that's not the case.
Let me throw a volleyball up, because I want to switch subjects, but this is too interesting. Let me throw a volleyball up to the panel real quick. Anyone chime in on this? If the Activision deal doesn't go through, what does Microsoft do? Actually, you know what? Let me open this up. This is not just a pick on Microsoft. I'll pick on Sony as well. If this deal doesn't go through, how do Microsoft and Sony approach their next venture, their next purchase? And what does this say for Game Pass for the foreseeable future? Not all at once.
Man, that's a loaded question.
That Game Pass part of it,
yeah.
I suspect that the reason why you've seen what you've seen with it up until now is because that Call of Duty thing and the Activision thing became basically it took up all the air in the room. And the moment that is no longer a factor in the equation, they're going to have to, whether they will or not remains to be seen. But they're going to have to basically turn back to all the people they came to the dance with. They're going to have to turn back to them and say, we haven't forgotten you, and start providing some more value in there. And of course, whether you call it a mistake or a feature or a bug, they've already increased prices. So now, whenever anybody looks at the platform, they look with discerning eyes, because hey, $70 is $70. People may not want to pay that much, unless you provide them value for that platform. So what will they do? It remains to be seen. What should they do? They've spent a lot of eyes on the Call of Duty ball, right? That's where they were. And if that's not happening, if Activision Blizzard is not happening, if they want to keep at least the diehard folks who've been there for a long time still appeased, you at least need to turn to them and go, look, we understand we left you waiting. Clearly, this didn't work out the way we intended it to. Here's a bone we're throwing you, our hardcore gamers, to remind you that you're still here. You know what I'm saying?
So
will they do that? We shall see.
So the interesting thing about the question, first off, I think it's a great question, Mooch.
Thank you.
The interesting thing from PlayStation's perspective is, despite all that's been going on, PlayStation has still have been releasing games. Now granted, I will say them not doing their showcase definitely does not sit right with me, and I don't agree with that. And that's a huge L that I don't accept that. Like, don't fuck out of here. Like, I don't give a fuck if you fighting, Zeus. You better give me a goddamn showcase. You feel me? Like, I don't give a fuck. But despite all that's been happening, PlayStation has been delivering. And as we can see going into 2023, they've got a lot of things that's going to be coming as well, 2023 and in the future, with, PSVR 2, PlayStation Edge, Horizon, the DLC, Spider-Man 2, which is slated for 2020. There's Stella Yams, Stella Blade, and all these other great games that are releasing in 2023. So, from PlayStation's perspective, in my opinion, if the deal doesn't go through or whatever, it's business as usual. Now, what may happen is Activision may look at what PlayStation has done and be like, you know what, we don't want to do business with you. And you may see those marketing deals go back to Microsoft. But then again, you also might not, because what people forget is PlayStation has the community and the numbers to back why you don't want to, walk away from PlayStation, right? Call of Duty already accounts for 60% of its community on PlayStation. You don't walk away from that.
No, you don't.
And you don't want to mess up a relationship with that type with that type of number. So, you know, Activision may say, you know what, screw that. You know, we're gonna go with Microsoft for the marketing deals. They might not. I don't see them. I don't see them doing that, but they might. You know, that's remains to be seen. Now, Microsoft, listen, man. You know, and no fanboy shit, man. Like, you know, we all grown men here. We talking, you know, we talking
absolutely.
game nerdy shit. This year for Microsoft has been absolute dog shit.
Yeah,
absolute dog shit. And this will help you segue into your next topic, Mooch. The Game Awards, solidified that Microsoft has been absolute dog shit this year.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
Yeah, listen.
And going into 2023, it still is a wait and see. Yes, Redfall's coming. Yes, Starfield's coming. When? What's the date?
Yeah.
No tease? No nothing?
Nothing.
There's nothing? No other deals? No this? No, you know, you got people paying into this Game Pass service. And let's be honest, man, like I love indies as much as the next person. You know, as much as I love Stray, you know, that's my shit. I would much rather play God of War over fucking Stray. I would much rather play Spider-Man 2 over Stray. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would, right? So, you know, the indies and stuff like that that's going into Game Pass, cool, great, that's fine. But this is why Microsoft also did not meet their 35 million subscriber mark because people don't want to play As Dusk Falls, Scorn, and fucking Pentiment. They want to play Starfield, Hellblade 2, Fable, Avowed, and all the good shit.
You are all in the midst of a true gamer. Persona just railed off games left and right on all kinds of different consoles. Yo, good on you, Persona.
Can I piggyback off what Persona just said, by the way?
Please,
because regarding like Activision wanting to do business with Sony, like I've seen some people in live chat, and I saw some YouTubers and people on Twitter saying, "Oh, Sony's burned bridges with Activision and the industry." It's like, look, I'm sure Bobby Kotick's like, you know what? Screw Jim Ryan. This guy's an asshole. You know, he's messing with my money, and Bobby Kotick might not be taking Jim Ryan's calls right now. But here's the thing: if PlayStation can make Activision a lot of money, and like Persona said, I think 60% of the COD install base is on PlayStation.
Yeah,
that's probably not going to change. They're not going to let grievances get in the way of making money.
No, so
that's just not going to happen. The other thing too, to what Persona said, and this resonates with me. So when I got into Game Pass, I said, "Oh wow, what was it, like 120? I think when they first announced it, I forget."
Yeah, you mean for the year?
Yeah, no, back in like 2018 or 2017 when they first announced Game Pass, it was like 120 for the year, whatever I think it was.
Yeah,
Game Pass Ultimate.
It still is without Ultimate. It's still $10 a month. Yeah. So I have Ultimate because I've PC, which is the best gaming platform to play video games on. And I got it because I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like for me, if I'm paying at the time it was $60 for video games, AAA games, if I get 2 or 3 AAA games from Microsoft a year, holy shit, that's actually not a bad deal, and that's
maybe they
the premise, right? That was the whole idea behind it. Yeah,
and maybe they sprinkle some things in there, to kind of sweeten the pot. They haven't done that for me, and that's been disappointing for me because look, the indie games, that's great. If you have the time to play, like E said, time is a commodity. If you have the time to play all those indie games that come out, that's great. I'm not saying those are bad that they're in Game Pass. I think it's great. I think it gives exposure to games that maybe didn't have exposure. But me paying, because I'm paying it, my money, I'm not getting out of the service what I expected to get. And that's a problem for me. And that goes into the Game Awards. Like I was disappointed to see that there wasn't anything shown. And for me, 2023 for Xbox, there's only one game for Microsoft first party that I'm actually interested in. And that's Starfield.
And you're probably gonna play it on Steam. So
well, no, I have Game Pass Ultimate, so I'll use that. So, but I've already paid. I'm 180 in the hole right now, so there's 70. So I'm 180 to the year for 2023. If there's only one game at 70, that's 110. I mean, so it's like
you've paid more into the service than you're actually getting, or that you were promised. Forget what you're getting out, because a lot of people say, "Well, that's bullshit," because there's a lot of games there.
For me, it's what I'm getting out. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But I'm not interested in those games. And so for me, like the Game Awards was disappointing because I've been on the Xbox platform for 20 something years, and for those who don't know, I was actually an Xbox Live beta tester.
I had no idea.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And this is the least excited that I've been for the Xbox platform in the 20 years that I've been on Xbox.
Yeah.
Even
And
more so
so-
than 2017.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you have a right to be. It's just that was also a pretty rough time.
Yeah, and I would say because of, especially now because of all the acquisitions that they've made and and the marketing, Greenberg, and hey, Green's out there doing his job as he should as head of marketing, but he's wait guys, we got some stuff coming, and that's fine, but I feel like that's a response that they give me as a consumer when I'm like, hey,
They've been giving that response for years. Greenberg putting that tweet out this morning, that also speaks volumes, because even they know they fucked up by not being at the Game Awards.
Yes. That's what that tweet
spoke volumes this morning.
That's what that tweet said, basically. If you translate it with your Ovaltine decoder ring, it's exactly what it said, Persona.
But Mooch, what doesn't help it is when you look down the replies of that tweet, everyone's like, "Thanks for the heads up. We appreciate you guys.
We can't wait, Aaron.
Thank you so much. You can't." It's like, just stop. It's like, come on, man.
It is. It's a bit much.
Do what you want. Go with it. That's your. I know me. The relationship. I understand the relationship between me and these guys, Sony, Microsoft, whoever is. I give you money. You give me entertainment in return.
Right.
But people have conflated this line of like, because they respond to us, their family, their friends, they're looking out for us. I'm like, no, that's no.
No, but I agree with Persona.
And that statement from Aaron, like Enrique said, that I'm sorry, Mooch, that statement. Like what Enrique said, that's him. He's doing his job. That's what he's supposed to. He's the marketing guy, but at the same time, it's a fluff. It's a nothing.
It really
and
was.
like Persona said, it's put out there because they know they tripped over their dick.
Yeah. Now,
E, real quick, you and I have been podcasting together since 2015 for like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't this feel like the same old thing, the same broken record?
It's always next year
for a reason, man. It's a meme for a reason, and then people are like, "Well, I don't know about you, but I got all these things in Game Pass, and I'm playing X, Y, Z, and X, Y, Z." And it's like, no one seems to remember like the discussions when we've been saying this for the longest. It's the most powerful console, to this, to that, to this, to that, and it's like not one example of why that is. Right now, that's gone away now. Now it's all about the Game Pass. Like, yeah, that whole discussion has changed. And it's just
not just Game Pass. Now I don't even hear the argument about the Series X anymore at all. It's just the Series S.
Now it's the little man. It's the S. I'm like, what?
How well it's selling.
How did we get to that? If you were to ever do the breakdown, when you see that they do the PlayStation 5 and then they have the Xbox Series consoles, if they ever did a breakdown from the Series X to the S, when you see where they're at, what is Xbox at now? They say like worldwide it's like 17 million or something like that. Or 18, whatever they're 17, 18. Whatever. If you look at that breakdown, it's probably like of the 17, 11 or 12 is probably the S. And you probably say, Mooch, what's
the that's kind of crazy.
It's wild, ain't it? The S is definitely outselling the X. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
And 2 years ago, every Xbox YouTube like podcast was the power gulf. It's gonna be a wash. Oh my God, it's gonna just stomp out the PS5, and you're seeing more and more examples where that's not the case. So the power narrative is done. Now it's the value proposition between the Series S and Game Pass.
Look how cheaply I can play all
this value.
Yep.
It's always next year. That's the problem, right? Like, and it's always been, next year is going to be the greatest year in Xbox ever. And it's like, I just, I really don't know how Xbox fans like feel because sometimes I do think they feel defeated a lot of times because they're constantly seeking validation, and like everything is just a clear scream for validation. It's always next year is going to be the best year, but somehow next year never really hits like it's supposed to.
Yeah,
and it's like. And all Xbox does, and they should, Xbox fans should feel insulted. Like you said, they always give you that feeling on Twitter, like, oh, we care about you. It's that toxic positivity, literally, like, hey, we're buddies, and it's like they make you feel like they're friendly to you, and then they don't give you any games for an entire year, and you forget about it. It's like, well, they acted like my friend
for 2023.
BG, it's the second year with no games. The console came out in November 2020. We didn't get Halo till 21.
That was ass.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, I was muted.
What games did we get on launch year? And then we got nothing in 22. So here it is. And guys, I'm asking the people in the chat or listening later. Listen to what BG's saying. Hear what I'm saying real quick. We're all consumers. We're all actually, even if you don't agree with me, we're actually on the same team. Because we're not the ones making this shit. We're the ones buying it. And I bought a console on November 2020. There's nothing that the first party provided me. The controller's the exact same, right? I haven't utilized any of the power. Then they give you Halo, which was half finished. Okay, you want to say you like Forza Horizon 5? Fine. You guys know I'm not a racing fan, but I'm not going to take that away from you. You loved it. You loved it. Great. I'll move on. But now we had 2022 with nothing, and let's talk about 23. We don't know how great Starfield will be. I don't think Redfall is going to be much of a chatter after 3 weeks after it launches. And where's Hellblade 2? So what is 23?
Hellblade 2 is the biggest insult of all this because that was the one that was shown first.
Right.
Yep.
But if you want to say, Mooch, what are you looking for in 2023? I would say Hellblade 2. But we don't know Hellblade 2 is coming in 23.
Yeah, and real quick, by the way, I think going back to what you were asking about, like, what do they do if the deal doesn't go through? I'm pretty sure, like, you know, we most of us believe that you know, Sony and Microsoft are both not revealing certain things because of this, you know, battle that's going on. I feel like Sony probably has at least one acquisition that's already like
done,
ready and done. But they're not like completing it simply because I think once you actually do it, you have to announce it. But they probably have at least one developer where they ready, and so does Microsoft. They probably have some, at least. Probably not a publisher, you know, but
I think
a developer.
I think PlayStation has two or three like the developers, because certain things they've been publishing that's been published lately by Sony is kind of like a bit of a surprise. So I think, you know, seeing that PlayStation has published this.
Persona, what do you think?
So I think so Stellar Blade, the developers for Stellar Blade, I forgot their names. I think PlayStation has acquired them. Also, I think PlayStation is either in the process or acquired Ultra Zero, which is the makers of Lost Soul Aside, which is funded through the China Hero Project. So I think they might have acquired them as well, and also the developers for Convalarian, which is another China Hero project, because the announcement came last week that PlayStation is officially the publisher for these games, and they're putting more money into the China Hero Project, like a lot more money. They're like really making their foothold into China. And what better way to make a foothold into China where you already have the China Hero Project, which is dedicated to fielding you know, Chinese developers and stuff like that, and giving them a home to make, partnering with them and whatnot. But why not lock down one or two under your belt?
Right.
So that you can definitely make sure that, you know, whatever's coming out from them is always going to be friendly to China. And boom, there you go.
No, I do. I agree with what you're saying. I wanted to know, Persona, the teams you were thinking of. Those hold water, but I do agree with BG. I think that Sony's they literally have the contracts in front of them, and they aren't inking it yet, because let's be honest, the minute you do that, you are on the hook. You're going to have to either publicize it, and now's not the time. And I think Microsoft also has probably another, again, I agree, not a publisher, but probably listen, there was a lot of rumors. People were saying that Sony's been talking for months now. Months, if not longer, with CD Projekt Red. And you see CD Projekt Red's coming out with a whole lot of shit. They got the Witcher remake.
A lot of TV shit, too.
TV shit, right? Sony's knee-deep in TV. I don't know.
But CD Projekt Red said that they said no or something like that. But I think that's probably just because, you know, obviously what's going on.
Yeah, you can't say shit right now.
Yeah, you can't say shit,
that
reminds me of when, do you guys remember when Blue Point got asked that because of that leaked image that showed them already?
That's a good point, Kofi.
I remember
somebody
else said Blue Point refused it completely.
Yep.
We're not being acquired.
They went the extra step. They said, "Yo, we are independent studio." All this other shit, blah blah blah. Yep.
Didn't even Bethesda do that before they were announced that they were?
They might have as well, Asante.
They announced saying that they were not being purchased and they were staunchly independent. It's part.
Yeah, they're like,
it's part for the course. Facts.
Yeah, they're like,
it is. Yeah.
Acquire.
I definitely think we'll know in 2023, because I'm sure they're not going to want to sit on. They're not going to want to sit on that for too long.
Fact.
So.
Absolutely. Shout out to DC Gaming. He says another thing hurting Microsoft. If they do want to do a mid-gen refresh, it will make it harder since way more people have a Series S versus X. That may be true. That may be very true. I also, DC's back here, and he says, I see a lot of the other super chats coming in, and a lot of them are moving towards the Game Awards, which we're going to get into. DC says, hello, FTC. All jokes aside, Microsoft's entire strategy is trying to buy out the entire industry. That is not competing, in quotes. Make your own IP, says DC Gaming. Shout out to DC. And then I've got the great Jimmy Harrison. You got a fan here, Persona. Not that you didn't know that. The great Jimmy Harrison. He says, Persona, keep preaching, brother. And then, of course, King LB says a trailer for Starfield with a release date would have been enough. But no, it was completely unacceptable, and excuses are lame at this point. So, what does it tell?
Yo, really and truly, I don't think, listen, guys, I say this as a disclaimer because, because I prefer PlayStation, people automatically associate anything I talk about with Xbox as fanboy shit when it's not. I don't think Starfield is ready, man.
I don't think so either.
I really, really think that game is going to be coming in hot.
Yep.
And you know what, Persona? It can't.
It can't. Exactly. And it can't. And that's why we don't have a date for it yet.
I don't think that game comes out till next fall.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I know people will be heated, but honestly, if they try the whole kind of like the Halo thing again, and that game comes out and comes in hot, it's gonna be a roast.
Well, listen,
it's gonna be absolutely. That game has too much weight on it.
Eric,
it has to be on point.
Eric, you were just saying this with BRAP a second ago. Now I'm having deja vu. Okay, because how many times did we say this on this show when we were talking about Halo? Halo was delayed. It was supposed to be a console release. They can't mess this up. Well, they did. So here we are again.
When we were calling out that reveal, we were told that we were fanboys, that we were, you can't possibly be a Halo fan looking at that reveal and not think that was fire. It looks like old Halo. I'm like, yeah, it looks like old Halo.
Fire.
You're absolutely right. It looks like old Halo.
Well, it's more. Think of it from a business perspective, right? Bethesda is not in the best light right now, coming off of Fallout 76. Now, yes, they've probably made it better and all that now, but that stigma is always going to be there. So going into something new like this, they got to knock it out the park. One. Yep. Two, there's already a lot of money invested into this because I don't care what nobody says. This was originally supposed to be made for multiple consoles, and the budget was being allocated for a project that would go on multiple consoles so you could recoup that money on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Right. Now that one of those platforms is now out of the equation, you now have a bigger loss that you could potentially gain if you don't put out a product that appeals to a mass audience. So Microsoft stands to lose a lot of money here if this project does not release to success. And if that is the case, it's going to put Bethesda in a very, very messed up position because this is your second L, and now we got Elder Scrolls. And I think that's also why, I think Thrash or I remember somebody was saying Elder Scrolls may end up actually coming back. 6 might actually end up being on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I think that's all dependent on what the success looks like for Starfield. Starfield is the determining factor. And if they can maintain that nice pot of money coming in, or that, with this game, then they'll feel more comfortable saying, all right, cool, we will keep Elder Scrolls on off of PlayStation. If not, I'm not confident, but I wouldn't be surprised if they say, oh, you know what, we are going to put Elder Scrolls on PlayStation.
Yeah, and that's a really good point you make. A shout out to Thrash as well. Thrash does some crazy. If you guys don't follow King Thrash, he does some great videos, man, on his channel. He really gets deep and does a lot. And I love when people go, hey, what software are you using, King? And he'll go, I'm using Share Factory. Why? You know what I mean? He's just always really blunt with that. Really good point, though. I do think that you're going to see Starfield be, it's how do I put it there? It's not a stepping stone, but it will be a deciding factor, Persona. It really will. Because if it doesn't do well, at that point, Microsoft's got to start to recoup the money they spent on them. And the one way to do that is, why not? Throw it everywhere. Throw it everywhere and make 70% off everybody. So I completely agree with that. I am going to shift over to the Game Awards because, believe it or not, guys, we are kind of talking about a bit of that with the lack of representation from Xbox. We saw that. We saw the tweets coming from Aaron Greenberg. But, BG, I'll put you on the hot seat again. We'll start fresh. And then I do have super chats here. I'll go to Face here. He says, Microsoft no show at the Game Awards. PS5 wins November in dollars and unit sales. Federal Trade Commission sues Microsoft. Xbox is not having a good end of the year, says Face. Face, thank you for being patient. I wanted to wait to read that until we got to this. But BG, when it comes to the Game Awards, you had Game of the Year going to Elden Ring. But before we even get into that, what's your overall take? Let's talk about the Game Awards themselves. We've all been critical. I've been way too critical over the past few years, but it's gotten better and better. I thought last night's, pacing-wise, was better. It is getting better. It was shorter, to the point. We saw game releases. They gave the awards out rapidly. They didn't drag that out. So, BG, where are you on yesterday's show and how it's kind of developed over the years?
Yeah, I was actually I wasn't home, but I did watch the see all the trailers and see all the winners and everything like that. And so I didn't watch the show from beginning to the end. I just saw the summary of everything that was shown. But everybody said, aside from Christopher Judge wanted to, make a whole platform out of his speech. Besides that part, people said it was more even, better paced, and
yes,
it was the best show in recent years. Jeff Keighley said it was going to be shorter, but it didn't seem like it was going to be. It didn't seem like it was shorter. It seemed like the same amount. Like, wasn't it still 3 hours?
I think it was still 3 hours, just maybe a smidgen under, but yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know what you meant by that, Jeff, but he always hypes things and claims things that ain't true. But yeah, it seemed like they removed a bunch of the fluff, because remember there was forced advertisements and everything.
Yes.
In a whole bunch of these segments, and it was a lot more. It was a lot more of that nonsense that nobody wanted to see, more than presenting of the awards. They still skimmed through a bunch of those awards. But I guess the most important ones, they do actually, do the presentation. So it was a cool show, and yeah, it was strange seeing Microsoft, I guess, not give anything to Jeff for that show. Because even if you want to seem weak for whatever reasons, you can give a trailer for a game. That's not gonna
exactly.
So
does that lead you to believe, though,
weird.
BG, what we were saying, that I don't think Starfield's ready either. So I'll give Persona credit. I feel the same way. I felt that way before we walked into the podcast. I don't feel that game is ready, and we don't even have a release date for Redfall. When we saw early looks at that, we saw some of the sketches. They were pretty rough. Then we saw some more footage of it, but a lot of it was, I'm saying CGI. Maybe I'm dated in my text or my context. So if I'm wrong, guys, and it's not CGI, but it's in-game game footage. It wasn't actual playing the game. It was cutscenes. So it was just, we don't have a lot on that. Why is it we have, with all the turmoil and all the nonsense we heard about Final Fantasy 16, we got a release date for that. We got a trailer for that, but we can't get something for Redfall? Nothing. Hellblade 2 is how Xbox presented the Xbox Series X in 2019. We haven't seen a thing about it except for their travels to Iceland to be on the set. I find that to be very, very unusual.
Trying to watch National Geographics.
National Geographic, right.
Whatever the fuck.
Whatever the hell it was. I do have the list here. Real quick, I'll run them off for you guys just so they stay fresh in your mind. Game of the Year, of course, Elden Ring. Player's Choice, Player's Choice, they call it Player's Voice, went to Genshin Impact. Isn't that the one that everyone thought was going to go to Starfield? Or was it most
anticipated?
Most anticipated
Most
game.
anticipated was going to be the one.
But they didn't get that one either.
Nope.
Yeah, Zelda. It's always
Zelda got it.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone thought Zelda wasn't going to be the one to win that. That's a
no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Ongoing game was Final Fantasy 14. Community support was Final Fantasy 14. A mobile game was Marvel Snap. I'm looking at best multiplayer was Splatoon 3.
As it should. I'm glad Splatoon won over that dog shit Modern Warfare 2.
Yep, I figured you would stand up and light a match for that one, Persona. I knew that was coming.
Absolutely.
Narrative went to God of War. Of course, best performance went to Chris Judge. Shout out to J Main 518. If you guys don't follow him, go check him out. BG, I don't know if you saw that, and that was what you were referring to. But I guess Chris Judge went to Twitter today and said, I was a little disappointed how they played the outro music, and J Main was like, man, you were up there for 10 minutes. How much more time did you want? So shout out to J Main for making a great tweet. But shout out to Christopher Judge for being probably the best Kratos that ever was and will be. So shout out to Chris, and he deserved that. And then best sports racing game went to Gran Turismo 7.
As it should.
right?
Yes, it should.
So I just wanted to point out a few of those to keep things fresh in everybody's mind. The Rogue Inquisitor says the Game Awards show was a pure blitzkrieg on Microsoft by Sony. So many awards won in the announced upcoming games and DLC. Xbox practically got nuked last night. So basically, they just non-existent. It's
something just hit me.
What do you got, Persona?
They couldn't even give Keeley the next Forza.
Yes. Can I talk about this for a quick second? Because I'm actually a Turn 10 fan. And the one reason I want to bring this up is one of the most popular tracks that I used to love in Forza ever since I want to say it was in the first and second game was Road Atlanta, a DLC that just got added for free to Gran Turismo for the first time. For the first time in Gran Turismo history, they finally have Road Atlanta. It is a popular track. There's been a ton of sport mode activities that take place on this track. Maybe I could talk a little bit about GT7 and the improvements they've added a little bit later. But for Forza to not get some sort of release date, we know that game is supposed to come out in the first half of next year. I just can't believe that, to Persona's point, that it didn't at least get a date for that game. We know that, since 2018, Turn 10 has basically probably been maybe supporting Playground a little bit for Horizon, but it just shocks me because when I think of the general landscape and the release schedule that Xbox could have announced here, because several months ago they said everything they're going to talk about will be out within the next 18 months. They could have had a March release date for Forza Motorsport, or the rebranding. I don't think it has a number. Then they could have something for Hellblade. We already saw gameplay of Hellblade that I thought was very interesting. Obviously. This was at EA's 2021, right?
Kofi, they call that gameplay. I got to be honest with you. I've been gaming for a very long time. I stress to see where the gameplay was in that. If that was gameplay, that was the most on rails gameplay I've ever seen. Please continue.
I do agree.
What game?
That's a good.
It showed Hellblade 2.
They did show Hellblade 2, and I think it's reasonable to be skeptical of what on that will.
I think the game will be. I think the game will be great. I have full confidence in Ninja Theory. I have no issues.
Yeah.
I'm just saying when they were like, "We're showing gameplay," I was like, okay. It's like if I said we were doing a live show, and then I just literally played a replay of last week's show for CrossFire, and I'm like, "Well, it was kind of live." I sat there and hit the button. Go ahead.
Well, no, whenever I see something like Hellblade, or when I even saw, the environmental detail that Playground had for Forza Horizon, it just brings me back to the 360 era. So I think I instantly get nostalgic, like, man, I wish they could have an announcement that made me feel like when I first saw Gears, or when I first saw that Gears, 1 commercial.
Yes.
So when I saw Hellblade, I'm like, maybe this is it. Maybe them taking forever and buying all these studios will eventually turn into something amazing for, unfortunately, 2023. And then for Phil to be there and just frown, right? Jim's not even there, but at least we got games. Just like Persona was saying, it's unfortunate we don't have a showcase, and maybe some of this legal battle has caused that. But we also got GT7 Horizon and God of War and all these indie games like Sifu and stuff like that. So I can't believe Phil will go to literally every show, Gamescom. He's going to go to E3 next year.
Yep.
He'll be part of PAX. He'll be part of probably CES to only sell indies. It feels off, man. I don't know. I know I'm kind of repeating it, but to not get a date for Forza, like I'm actually a Turn 10 fan. I will probably be buying that on Steam. And so that it just feels like an insult, man.
I mean, Kofi, and that's kind of what I was trying to convey. That's what I was trying to convey earlier. And it's yeah, and Ryan McCaffrey, by the way, had a scathing article about Microsoft not showing up at the Game Awards, and big shout to Slow-Mo Backslap, who actually quote tweeted Aaron Greenberg, and I don't remember Aaron saying this or Microsoft saying this, but Slow-Mo was saying that, and I'd have to go back and look and see where they said this, but he was saying that, look, you guys said you would have some kind of reveal or show a game at every major award show. You haven't done that. And if that's true, if they said that, then geez, like what's Microsoft, like what's happening again? And it's great. We always go back to this conversation, and it's weird. It's unfortunate. Like when we have this conversation, we're bringing up that people are like, oh, you guys are just ponies. No, it's not. It's not about being a pony. It's about like what we're seeing.
Yeah.
What they've presumably
Well,
what Slomo's saying is
what about
accurate, like what they've promised. And then you have PlayStation, who look, they revealed one new exclusive in Death Stranding 2, and they showed 2 other timed exclusives.
Right.
And an exclusive DLC to PlayStation 5 and the new Horizon Forbidden West DLC. So,
Well,
I mean, Nintendo was there. Nintendo showed off exclusives too. It's just
there's a
it's like,
different there's a different work culture now under Phil, and we see that with Matt Booty and these guys. Microsoft was one of the first people during the pandemic to say that everybody can work from home and stay at home, and they have it, but this
is the Game Awards though.
I know, you're right.
This is the
saying,
Game Awards. It's like it's become a show now. I actually enjoy the Game Awards better.
The Game Awards have become the E3. What E3 was.
Yeah,
I agree.
I was gonna say they become the E3, and it's like what. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't understand how many more times do
well, let's be honest, though. But let's go back to what Persona said a bit ago. BRAP, it answers your question. If Phil has stuff to show, he's not scared to show it at this show. Like, that's where they revealed a lot of their shit. So my point being is they don't have anything ready.
Maybe they're not ready,
It's this culture with Mac Booty and, don't worry about it. We'll get to it when we get to it. We'll just put another indie in there. Everybody will love it. And then we'll have everybody that loves us just tweet how much they love it. And it's like, that's what they're doing right now. And Sony, listen, Sony's not vocal about it. And I don't want to use the word crunch because crunch has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people. So I won't use that word. But I'll say Sony has a let's get this shit done mentality now. And you don't have that at Microsoft. And if you don't believe me, just look at the initiative. They were put together when? And what if they put out what? Not only have they not put anything out, they're now subcontracting Crystal Dynamics. And they're not even making a new IP. They're supposed to be the best of the best of the best with honors. Right? From everyone from the and now they're going to end up making a remake of a game that came out years ago. They're not even using anything new. They're not even coming up with a new idea. So this is that mentality of, what are you doing? It's not like those guys that are working for the initiative don't know how to create games. They're the best in the business. But listen, not every all-star team ends up with a championship. Not everything was like the amazing all-star team that we had in the Olympics for NBA basketball guys that went over and represented us, the U.S. But I remember the Philadelphia Eagles put together an unbelievable team. It was like late 2000s. They were horrible. Like, it is, so it's not always going to be a situation. By the way, if BG's a Philly fan, I apologize, BG. But nonetheless.
No, that's all right.
Do you remember that? BG? BG, do you remember that, though, when they put they were the all-star team? And people, Philly fans were furious. They're like, we were supposed to win a championship.
Yeah.
And no,
Philly
go ahead.
Philly fans mad at everything all the time.
Well,
but,
this is true.
Even when they're winning. But yeah, and the other problem, like with and the Game Awards, I know we're talking about the Game Awards, great that Elden Ring won, I think we knew that was going to happen.
Yes.
But as far as like the problem, I think a major problem with Xbox fans is like everything is okay with them now that everything is predicated on a value, right? As long as they get a good value for something, they don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a problem. Because you're literally being like brainwashed once again, but it's the greatest value in gaming. Even though you're not getting anything new, they have all these studios since like 2017, and you really haven't seen much hit from it. But all of their satisfaction comes from if they got the game at a discount, and you're sending that and because you're sending that message. You're going to suffer from that. I don't know if they realize that. If you keep telling someone, "Hey, I'm satisfied as long as I get a deal," that's the wrong way to look at gaming. I'm sorry. Sure, everybody likes something for cheaper, but that shouldn't be how you base your whole gaming, hobby. It shouldn't hang on that. Whether you got something for cheap or not, that's a problem. That's an issue. Man, because that's just not how gaming should work. Like you shouldn't be lowering your standards to that just because you got it for a deal, and you're just sending the wrong message, man.
But BG, you're right, and the reason that you're right is look at this. You had God of War sold 5.1 million copies at $70 a pop, okay, in 3 days. So apparently this whole you don't need to pay $70 campaign ain't working. You got Pokemon that was broken, right? People were complaining about it day in and day out. 10 million. Hold my beer. What's going on? Yeah. That's the whole thing with this. Like, I'm not saying Game Pass isn't a value. If you love everything in there, that's great. Don't unsubscribe. I don't do that on this channel. That's not what I'm here to say. But I am here to say that it may not be as great as people are pom-pomming. If you love it, you love it. But my God, it's really not that great. And where are these games? Where are they? And like I said, I'm not going to go down that. We've beaten that dead horse a million times. It's more about what Persona, BG, the guys are saying right here. Is basically, why didn't we see anything? How about a clip? How's Hellblade 2 doing? How about of the 25 teams you have, something new we haven't seen? Even
what about Everwild?
Everwild.
We haven't seen Everwild in 5 years.
It was so bad we didn't get a Sea of Thieves update.
Well, that Everwild's been rebooted. So there's
it was rebooted like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I think Rare even when they announced the game, Rare wasn't even sure what that game is going to be. They even said that. So,
and see that, but that's the other like problem. This kind of goes along again with what Mooch and BG are saying about, you know, like when you talk about like quality, people keep having this idea that, you know, well, Game Pass doesn't necessarily mean it won't be quality, but when you sell 5 million copies of your first party game and people are going for it, that gives you the incentive to continue putting that kind of quality into it because you're going to get that return on it, right? Now, we haven't had any discernible proof yet of what big title first party is going to go into Game Pass necessarily, but when you have like a fan base that you're not giving anything to, and like BG said, you know, they're more predicated on value versus holding their feet to the fire for anything. Yeah, that's like the race to the bottom, right? And then the whole focus is on this Call of Duty, this Activision thing, and they completely, again, and I've said this before on your show, Mooch. This isn't a slap to the Xbox fan base, but they tend to acquiesce to everything Microsoft tells them. Everything Microsoft wants to do, they acquiesce to it, and that becomes the mission statement and the mantra, right? So
absolutely,
where you have like this whole like Activision thing, it's like they got them now believing that we can't compete unless we get this deal done.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
How many studios did you already acquire prior to this deal? You should be able to compete with those studios, but again, and I say people keep saying acquire more. It's like they haven't shown that they can manage a Denny's, much less, you know, this portfolio of studios that they have. They haven't shown that yet. But you want them to keep acquiring. Now you want them to take on an Activision and see how that goes when nothing has been delivered from all the ones they've acquired. And people keep saying, well, games take time to make. Yeah, but how many years has it been since they've acquired like Ninja Theory and everything else? And you can't show and talk about anything?
We've been hearing that for 7 years, man.
Yeah, we've been hearing that for so many years. And you know, God of War released in 2018, and we got the next game in 2023. That's what, 4 years? 5 years?
Yeah.
Oh, 2019, 2020.
Right.
That's for 4 or 5 years. You know, Ghost of Tsushima. Like all the games that's been releasing from PlayStation. Where you at?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, because Persona people were asking me this. We saw Death Stranding 2, but I have a list here as well of the tons of games we saw. But Death Stranding 2 was revealed yesterday. Well, the trailer, it was the worst kept secret. We knew it was coming. But I'm saying, but the whole thing is this. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see Death Stranding 2 in 23 or 24?
Nah, I don't think. That's definitely a 2024 later title. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the way Kojima works, yeah.
It'll be a minute. I don't think 2023, but I could definitely see 2024 because, you know, you already got the assets and everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's definitely going to be quicker making that game this time around.
Hey, Mooch.
Yes.
Real quick, one of the things that I'm seeing in the chat, like somebody's like, you guys are too focused on AAA games and Game Pass and not all the great indies. And
like nobody's buying Game Pass for no indies. Y'all just cut it out.
Yeah, cut that bullshit.
Please stop.
First of all, cut that bullshit out, right?
Stop it,
but first of all, like, you know how many indies I've played this year? I've played a ton of great
I was
indies
gonna say,
this
you
year.
play a lot of indies, actually, Persona.
But I'm still looking forward to
But-
these AAA games.
Right, that's why you pay for that
Well,
subscription.
but here's the other thing though.
No,
but, like,
but that's also why I bought a PlayStation 5.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
I ain't
You know
buying
what?
no
I'm
PlayStation.
calling-
No, and listen, I love Colton Lamb. I love seafood and all that. But I ain't buying no fucking PS5 for no seafood and all that. I bought
But
it for the
here's-
God of Wars and
Facts.
the Horizons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So cut that
Yeah.
bullshit out, man.
No, but
here's-
you know what else
yeah.
though? You know what else? Hold on, Brad, I'll give it back to you. But
Yeah.
the other thing with that too is, now I'm not buying into that either, because I've seen it happen to where a great indie hits Xbox and cats won't buy it if it didn't hit Game Pass. So it's not
Yeah,
about the great indies.
Death's
Because I
Door.
remember like Death's Door. Thank you. That's exactly what I was going to go to. You had people telling you left and right who bought the game, this is absolutely worth the buying price, and it was like what, $15 that they dropped it into the service on. Absolutely worth it. And dude's like, nah, I'll wait till Game Pass. I'm not picking that up until it hits Game Pass. It's like $15.
Oh, I remember. I
Where
remember
people
that.
are telling
Oh,
you this is
my
a game
God.
is worth more than what they're asking for, but you wouldn't do it.
I remember that
No.
they wouldn't buy it,
Yep.
and it came exclusively to Xbox.
Shame.
And-
Still didn't
And you know
buy
what is the kicker? When a game is rumored to go to Game Pass and it does not,
it.
and then people are
Mm.
real salty, right? They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Who's all
I'm
interested?
not
Yeah,
even
they
interested."
they're really mad that somebody was just spreading the word for 2 months, and then you finally have the developer come out and be like, "We're not going to be in Game Pass."
Right? They say we're not
You
going to
got
do
dudes
it.
asking for a Star Wars Jedi Survivor and all that to be in Game Pass, and I'm like,
No,
The
man.
dudes got mad at the
I don't even
AEW
think-
developer because they said they came out and said no, it's not going to be in Game.
oh yeah, I seen that.
Your game-
Oh,
your game
yeah,
was
they got
AEW.
knocked out of the wrestling game.
The
yeah,
wrestling
yeah.
game, yeah.
Like going in on them for it, and I'm like, are you?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that comment that I was talking about in the chat where somebody's like, you guys are, solely focus on AAA games and Game Pass, look at all these great indies. And I'm like, for me personally, I spent $180 for the year subscription. And the guy brought up the vampire game that's out right now. I forgot the name of Vampire Survivor, I think it's called.
Vampire
The-
Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Vampire Survivor's in Game Pass now. I paid $180. Vampire Survivor is not as I look at it, the money that I put into this subscription service, that's not giving me a return in my
Yeah,
investment, and that's
Really. Sorry to interrupt. Really quick, I also want to
Yeah.
say a game that just came out on Game Pass yesterday that I bought, and I know that my boy Jay Bari loves is Chained Echoes. Okay, it's like a 16-bit
It's
inspired
amazing. I
game.
love that game.
Yo,
Yeah,
the
I
game
saw
is
that.
dope right now. I'm like
Yo,
already
it's
5
fire.
hours in. It's so
Yeah,
good.
fire, bro. I'm
and-
enjoying it.
I do agree that when I look at the service of Game Pass, I'm like, there are some good indies in there. Another good example is Eastward, which came out on Switch and on PC last year. It's like it plays like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, but with kind of like I don't want to make correlations to another game. I think it's like because it's too far fetched. But the game is great, so I do see the value for indies. But to be honest, most of my PC friends who I try to sell, I'm like, look. You have a tight budget. PC Game Pass is probably an option for you. They refuse it. I can't even convince them.
because
and
you can buy
I
those
just-
games on the cheap, Kofi, on PC.
That's true. That's true because they're going to go on sale anyway.
Yeah, and
And
that's my
people just
point.
wanna
Like, with
own the
the indies game, many of them are like what, $15, $20. So that's my point about you pay $180 for a game that you can pay $20 for. Why me, Brab? Again, I'm speaking to myself. Why would I pay $180 for a subscription to play a game that costs $20? And that's the only
Right.
game that I'm playing. Like that's my experience in Game Pass right now. For me, again, emphasis on me. Everyone's different, but
Yeah, no, I got a couple super chats here. And Asante, I do want to get your take on this, Asante, because I know that everyone would actually say, well, Asante's the Xbox guy here tonight, which I don't like to say, but nonetheless, shout out to your boy Roy. He says, everyone's been getting
play
the...
PC more than anybody else.
I know, I was just going to say, Asante, you are PC. This is true. Shout out to your boy Roy, Mooch Maniac family member. He says, everyone's been getting the GLHF wrong. It's actually good luck having fun because we ain't got crap. Shout out to you, boy, Roy. Appreciate that. Kratos99 says, only Game Pass commercials at the Game Awards from Xbox. King LB says, unfortunately, I agree on it being delayed. King, I believe you're referring to Starfield when we were talking about that. I apologize, I'm a bit behind. The Great Sir X-Man says, Steve Ballmer would have fixed this Xbox mess. Facts. It's funny. Something we haven't said on the show in a long time. I bet we'd have more games if Donnie D was around. Now, take it easy. Just having fun with it.
Oh my god!
Just having fun with it. But listen, you look at the Xbox One launch. Well, it might be Asante, but nonetheless, just have fun with it. That Xbox One launch compared to where we are now, Is what it is, man. I bought an Xbox One, went home day one. I know that the whole DRM thing was a mess. I get it. But they had stuff to play. I'm going into year 3 here. I ain't got shit. So I'm just saying, go ahead and make fun of Donnie D all we want. The Rogue Inquisitor says, Xbox frosted a culture of acceptance of mediocrity. Only one first-party game released in 10 years. They're lacking in urgency. Microsoft is a rabbit getting outrun by a tortoise, and fans are okay with it, ? Shout out to Rogue Inquisitor. WoolleyGamer, the great WoolleyGamer, he says, shout out to my boy Kofi, the one and only. He really is. The great Kofi is here tonight. And TrueWiddy says,
what up, Wooly?
Did Game Pass mess
Atlas Gods, Kofi.
Did Game Pass mess their minds up, or was it already? Shout out to the great TrueWiddy and Mooch family member as well for years and years and years. But yeah, what do you guys think? I wanted to kind of get into the games themselves that they showed yesterday. I was impressed with what they showed. I'm just going to do a quick run through. I apologize, guys. Final Fantasy 16. We saw From Software's reveal of Armored Core 6. Hades 2, which I'm excited about. I don't know how they're going to differentiate so much from the first one. I'm excited a little bit. I love Ken Levine. I think he's done some great work in the past with BioShock. We'll see what Judas is all about. Death Stranding 2, of course. Just looking to see if there's anything here that's the new gameplay from Cyberpunk 2077. New Star Wars. Everyone loved Jedi Survivor. Apparently that's going to be the new hotness. Diablo 4 looked amazing. Absolute fire. Question for the great persona that's here. Street Fighter 6 will fight its way to a June 2nd, 2023 release date. Persona, for people on the fence, or for people who didn't buy or play Street Fighter 5, why is it I'm seeing you and Bari constantly on Twitter saying how great Street Fighter 6 is? You guys are playing a beta of sorts or alpha. What is it that makes 6 so much better than 5, real quick?
So I think if we're looking at the launches of both 5 and how 6 is looking to be launching, it's miles better. You know, they definitely listened and learned their lesson from Street Fighter 5 launch to Street Fighter 6 launch. Obviously, Street Fighter 5 is in a much, much better position now than it was at launch. But with Street Fighter 6, you know, the roster for Street Fighter 6 is just looking so fire, especially with the characters that they revealed yesterday. And we finally got like some glimpses of gameplay from them with Manon and Mariska and JP and DJ. So, you know, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be, you know, they all look fun to use, very over the top, very colorful. And Street Fighter 6 is very easy to pick up and play. Obviously easy to play, hard to master. And it's Street Fighter, man. Like, one of the things that I think that they've done really good here is the characters all play very differently and they feel very unique. And the different movesets and the different types of features and stuff like that that's going to be in the actual game itself, it's much better. I definitely think Street Fighter 6 is going to be easier for a lot of people to get into.
I hope so, honestly, because I think 5 had that rough start, and I think it just gave it you know what I mean? It just kind of, did it ever propel? I heard it did finally get to where everybody...
No. Street Fighter 5 is in... Right? Yeah, no, now it's absolutely great. But Street Fighter 6, it's hitting it on all cylinders out the gate. The movement, the character abilities, the different types of tools that you have on the in matches and whatnot with the I forgot the name of it, but it's like this new like counter attack system now that you have that kind of gives you more openings and you can open up people and extend combos and all this crazy shit. It's just so much going on. They definitely listen to the community here, and they're doing it right.
No, that's good to know. I appreciate that. And we got the great Easy E. He comes in and he goes, Don Matrick, you don't know what you got till you lose it. So shout out to Easy E. And then Cloaked Onyx. And Cloaked, you know, there's a lot of people in the chat. I see this. And I don't know if you're new to, you know, the guys that I have on the panel right now. Every single person on this panel is a veteran in the Twitter gaming streets, if you will, on Twitter and YouTube. These are the guys I've known for a very long time. So when we talk about Game Pass, we're not talking about necessarily, because I'll read Cloaked Onyx. He says, I never understood the hate for Game Pass. What's the difference with Game Pass sub compared to being a Blockbuster member or a Netflix sub? No, there's in all honesty, I don't think you ever I think maybe you misconsume it. It's not, yeah, Kofi, you can take it. It's not hate, Cloaked. It's more of, we're hearing a certain group praise it to be something that it isn't. You know, you can't take ground beef and tell me it's filet mignon. You know what I mean? I mean, unless the ground beef is from filet mignon, and then I'll buy it. But nonetheless, go ahead.
Really
Kofi.
quick. The biggest difference I have for Game Pass versus other subscription services, because I subscribe to Spotify or I use Netflix, is I'm concerned game development will become more episodic based on the consistency of Game Pass. I don't know if I have evidence to say that that is true, but I don't like the idea of what might be a single player or an IP that has been known to release complete instances to then suddenly be drawn out over episodes within the Game Pass subscription model, because I think that would be more financially stable for episodic content for a particular IP. But I like the idea of getting a disc or buying a digital license, and having at least a beginning, middle, and end, and then maybe DLC, like, I don't know, Blood and Wine for Witcher 3 or Burning Shores for Forbidden West. But I'm uncomfortable with that idea because of what I've seen with 343 and Halo Infinite. I didn't like that game got delayed a year, and then even after that, we didn't get things that fans were looking for, like co-op, until months later. So if Microsoft's best IP was broken out over months, what does that mean for the rest of the party? I just think that it's reasonable for me to be skeptical of that level of consistency.
And I'm glad you put it in that context, Kofi, because again, I do want to repeat the cloaked. It's got nothing to do with hate. It's just myself personally. You got to remember when Game Pass was first announced, it was before they said they were going to put their first party games in there, and then they came back and then they said they were going to do that. But before they even said that, like, nobody really cared about Game Pass. They really didn't. And now we've gone a very long stretch of time without a big first party game, which is the big ploy. And you can see that you've even had Phil say that things have kind of tapered off, things have kind of plateaued a bit on console. And it's because people want AAA first-party... And wait, let me rephrase that. Really great AAA first-party games to go into Game Pass. That's what they want to pay that monthly subscription for. And so it's not hate. It's just a matter of we haven't really gotten what we've been promised yet. And there's a lot... And BRAP used a great equation earlier. If you have Ultimate Game Pass, outside of Halo and Forza Horizon... You have to stop and think about it. You've been paying $180 a year, and you haven't gotten those first-party games. Now, doesn't mean you haven't been playing other games in there, but they're not the first-party big whoppers that we were promised. Shout out to Juju, who's here. Hope he's not late. He says, late fee, have no excuse. Please accept this, my humble token of remorse. Juju, just glad you're here, buddy. Julian, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being a part of the family, man. I really appreciate that. Just trying to decide here. I know we only have a few minutes, so let's do a hot round real quick here. Looking to see if I want to actually get to this. This is going to be a hot topic again. Asante, I'll start with you, buddy. Let's talk about this. Xbox first-party games that cost $70 starting in 2023. Mm-hmm. You talked to a lot of guys in the Xbox camp, though. What do you think? Between everything we saw that's going on, it's been a rough week here. You know what I mean? Because this is something that everybody said, well, Xbox isn't doing it. And we all kind of said, yes, that they're going to do it. They just don't have a big game yet, right? Yeah. So what's your take on the $70 front, especially being a PC gamer?
I've always thought the $70 thing is inevitable. $70 is going to be the standard. And once PlayStation and other third parties did it, and by and large, people complained a little bit, but then they moved forward. It was just inevitable, right? And of course, Xbox hangs their head on well, you got Game Pass, so as long as you pay your sub, it won't affect you. And ideally, if the idea, if the concept of it works, sure, you have your Game Pass subscription, you're still getting it as you normally would. It would be no issue. It's the fact that Game Pass sub, as you guys have correctly pointed out, in the year 2022 has come with nothing AAA, right? And now you're ending up paying more of it. Now, so I'm on Double Barrel Gaming's channel, big Xbox guy, Yep. And to a person like him, the reason why this would be a problem now is because at the end of the day, yes, it's true that you have Game Pass and you'll be able to play your games or whatever comes out is there and it's good. But if you think about it, Starfield and Redfall were 2022 games. And if they had come out in 2022, you'd be paying $60 for them, those who choose to pay for them.
Right.
But now, because they've moved to 2022, 2023, they're now $70 games. So if you want to bring the smoke, it needs to be righteous across the board. So I will sit back and I will chew my popcorn and I will enjoy all the righteous smoke going around because it's well deserved.
Well, let me throw a curveball. Asante, let me throw a curveball. Let's just say 11/11/22, they kept Starfield to that. You don't believe? I would have thought that this announcement would have just come earlier. I still think it would have been $70 this past November.
Oh, and that is very much that I've heard that conversation.
I mean, that's not even a conversation I've heard. Just what I firmly believe. I thought once Microsoft put their first party new games out there, they were going to be $70.
Then there would be $70. Yes, and that is a very righteous debate to levy. But even still, in that world, the game would have released first and presumably been good, and then you hit them with well, it's good. You're paying more for the service now.
Yep.
Right. The game has not released. They've already increased the price. So as far as the smoke of people complaining about it and all of that, I believe, do I think Game Pass is a service that I enjoy? Yes, I enjoy Game Pass. As everybody has said right now, you deal with the subscription service, what happens within your situation, within your life, what makes it useful for you. For me, super useful. Why? Because like I'm inundated. I'm NLB, newest, latest, best. I'm inundated with the newest, the latest, the best. Sometimes I miss some really interesting thing that I didn't think I'd be wanting to play. And then I'll find it there and I'll go, wow, I didn't know I wanted to do that. Right? That has happened to me on many occasions with Game Pass so far. And the big reason for me specifically why I still keep a Game Pass subscription and I don't think it's degraded in quality is I have children and children love these options. Why do
my kids are the anomaly? My kids don't use it. My son plays he plays three things. He'll either play Warzone, he'll play Fortnite, or Apex.
This is why I ask you, how old are your kids? If your kid is playing Fortnite or he's playing Apex, he's aged out most likely, because that's another problem the Game Pass definitely has. It has games for kids for a certain demographic.
What do you think? What's the point that Microsoft's trying to target then?
I think and people, I've heard people use the argument for Game Pass say that it's about having a robust category, and I believe that, right? But right now that category has gaps in it, large gaps in it, and even they know that it has large gaps in it, right? So every once in a while they'll release, some crazy indie and everybody will love it, which is great. Yep. Other times they'll release something that kids will love. Like, believe it or not, Peppa Pig got a lot of drive in my household because I have little kids. Right.
Okay, Santi, my kids actually like that game a lot.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
Freaking Paw Patrol gets a lot of drive in my household. I'm not paying for that crap, but it's wonderful. It's there, so I don't have to pay for it, so those kids can enjoy themselves. Right. In addition to, I hate to say it, in addition to Vampire Survivor is literally eating my life right now. If I'm not on a podcast, I'm probably playing that game. It's on my phone now, I hear you, since yesterday.
It is on the phone, yes.
There goes my productivity there.
I enjoyed that game too. I played it to a certain extent. I really did like it. My only problem right now that I've got with it is once you get to a certain level, the game just starts to play itself until you die.
Once you understand what you're doing and you set it up correctly, it's basically The Sims. You just watch it do its thing. I do understand that. I don't. That's why whenever anybody's having this debate about whether Game Pass is good for them or not, I won't weigh in because every life situation is different. And if I was in your situation and maybe I was on the Destiny 2 camp or the doesn't need to pause camp, because if you're a dad, you need to pause, right?
Right.
And because of that, it skews a lot of the games you play, right? But I will sit back and listen to that righteous smoke when people say, hey, where are my AAA games? Because that's how they marketed it. That's how they got a lot of people into the mix, right? They got a lot of people into the mix. There you go, right? I'm okay with them not having AAA bangers like all the time on there, because that's not what I'm there for all the time. And if I want, I play on PC, I play on PlayStation, I play VR. I'm fine with it. At some point they'll sort it out, and when they do, I'll come back and I'll take it.
Asante, you made a good point. BG, let me ask you a question real quick. So BG, you heard Asante, right? And I know you've always had some great commentary on Twitter about folks with kids, and Persona actually has a soundboard full of this. I have a wife and kids. But nonetheless, what do you think when you hear that, Broken Games? What do you
haven't
think?
Heard that tonight.
We haven't. We will in a minute. I got news for you. BG, do you think that holds water? Is Game Pass more for that demographic? Is that what Game Pass was intended for?
I mean, let's be clear. BG, please forgive me. I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm not saying that's the demo.
No.
I'm saying
maybe I worded it wrong. I apologize, Asante.
From different places.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess.
But please,
do you see that aspect of it? Do you see that that's where a large chunk of consumers may be in the Game Pass world? Does that?
Yeah, no. Like, listen, I said I would probably get Game Pass if I ever, or when I ever have kids, because I could save from, spending money on individual games that they may want. It's just for me, it doesn't have any value. So no, I definitely agree with that. That's not
better than Roblox or something. Forget about that.
Yeah,
thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what my other kid only plays is only Roblox.
So. I've avoided that like the Matrix. I'm continuing to avoid that.
Luck.
I'm still working on it too, Santi.
Oh, good luck,
both comes in Roblox. I'm like, I gotta go.
Nope. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.
Nope. Let's try this new game that just entered Game Pass. Why don't we try that?
Right.
Yo, this is great. Shout out to Olam Milad. I always say it wrong. And then Raji, I apologize. Kofi, Xbox like Ghana in the World Cup. That L. So shout out to Raji.
Hey.
I know, right?
There will be no Ghana slander here.
There won't. That's correct, Asante.
Oh man,
I said it straight, Asante.
That's rough.
Said it straight.
Said it straight. Come on.
He's right.
I'm wearing my jersey right now as we speak.
God bless him.
Sorry.
Gotta be the World Cup. What?
Oh, come on, Brad. Let's not talk that way.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Shout out to J Master. I'm not gonna say the full name, but outstanding. Love it. Love the humor in the chat. J Master says Tekken 8's looking absolute fire. Cloaked Onyx says I never understood. Oh, I apologize. I read that already. Cloaked Onyx comes back. He says best example of a game with episodic content is Destiny 2. In quotes, parentheses, depends if you count MMO titles. Another would be Assassin's Creed Odyssey with its DLC. And shout out to the great Royal Boyle 78.
It's true.
It is true.
And so really quick, I feel like Destiny was originally designed to be episodic. And I think my fear is specifically saying, hey, look at this new IP. I'm sorry. I worded that wrong. Look at this original IP that we love, but now it will never be a complete product at launch. It'll always be pieces that are drawn out over 5 years. That I fear.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that
funny.
That was the idea for Hitman when they couldn't afford to really release it. The first iteration
couldn't afford.
Yeah, at that time.
Right.
It is a valid concern. I would just say though, so far it hasn't materialized. Right. It is a valid concern.
That's true.
Well, let me ask you a question. Persona, when the new, are you always going to be part of the new Destiny expansions? Are you going to continue your ranks, or are you starting to see that you're going to pull the plug on it?
I bought the $100 edition when it first got announced. I should say.
The Witch Queen or the one to follow?
No, Lightfall.
Lightfall. Okay. When is that set?
No, I'm a huge Destiny.
I know you
nut,
are.
Man.
I
love Destiny. I think over the as time goes on, I don't play, because at one point Destiny was like, I eat, sleep, and breathe that shit. Now it's like, because you got other games you want to play and other stuff, and if you sink time into Destiny, it'll really eat your life away. But not only that, but Destiny has I kind of only focus on like the big expansions now and not necessarily the seasons anymore.
Right.
Just because like I feel like a lot of the seasonal stuff is like it's starting to get like rehashed, or it's just like like I'm not really, I don't want to stick with it the whole 3 months. Whatever.
Did you do the latest, the newest raid?
Yeah.
Oh, you did do it. Okay.
With rope.
That's what I was
Yeah, what I always do every time new expansion, new raids and all that come out. I get my light and all that stuff up, and I do all that. I grind super heavy, get all that, do all the major content, and then I just go back to all my other games.
Yeah, I want to get into it, but for some reason I've just lost touch with it. And every time I go back, there's so much lore that I've missed and everything that's happening. I'm like, I feel like even though they do.
No, they skip you pretty far.
No, they skip you. Yes.
Yeah, they skip. You'll get powered up to like
it ain't
the base
power,
for that
though.
season.
It ain't the power. It's like, oh, you got to go to the EDZ, you got to do this, and you got to go see this, and you got to go see, Jimmy. Yeah. Jimmy's got the hat you got to pick up. I'm like, who's Jimmy? All right. So anyway, I'm way out of it. I got to get back into it if I'm going to even try. Shout out to Royal Boyle. He says, man, what a great show. Always here to support Mooch and CrossFire. In my opinion, Xbox needs the likes of Sean Layden type of person to save them. So you know what? I guess I'll go. That'll be our kind of our question to wrap up here. BG, I said on this show for 3 years, okay, not 3 weeks, for about 3 years now. And everybody that's been here for so long, they'll all know. Everyone in the chat will go, yep, Mooch said it. I've always said I think we need new leadership. I've never pointed to one person, and I still won't. Is it time for new leadership? And what do you think it would take? Would it take people retiring, or would it take the Activision deal not going through to see new management or people step down? What is it going to take to see people finally getting us seeing a new management taking over the Xbox branch at Microsoft?
Man, I don't know if it's management, but something just hasn't been. Something just sometimes just doesn't click. A lot of times just doesn't click with Microsoft for some reason, and I can never quite. It's like they just haven't figured out, like, I don't know, their whole like pipeline process when it comes to making games. I feel like they haven't actually optimized it yet, and they've been in gaming such a long time. Yeah, a little bit shorter than PlayStation, but still, like, I think they just should have figured it out by now. And something always goes wrong. Games recently never come out the way they envisioned them. So I really don't know if it's leadership. I honestly think it might be on the leadership level at the studios more than the executive level at Xbox.
Okay.
Right. I feel like sometimes they just don't have the talent and directors, right? At the lead, and the head of the studios.
Creative
I
directors,
feel like,
etc. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of them more than Phil Spencer, because we can point out. I can point out, the head of studios at several of these PlayStation studios. Of course, Corey. Even though the other guy did Ragnarok. Of course, you got Neil at Naughty Dog.
Yeah.
And the head of PlayStation Studios.
You got Brian Ethar. And Ryan Norton at Insomniac, and Ted Price.
Herman Hulst.
He's
And you can, when they talk about their games, it's like they know how to make a game. They know what they're doing, and they guide people to the finish line. I think that's what it is with some of these Microsoft studios. It's like they just don't have that right person at the studio level to lead
I'm kind of
these
glad,
people.
BG. I'm kind of glad you went there, because that's why I said I'm not going to name anybody. Everybody
That's a great point, BG.
No, it is a great point.
That's a great point, because at certain studios they don't have that issue.
They
don't. Like Obsidian, they don't have that issue.
Yeah.
Presumably Bethesda, they won't have that.
But when you look at Jack Trenton, right, or you look at Sean Layden, those guys weren't making games. Phil's not making games.
But they still have their studio heads, or like what BG say, like at Microsoft, like there's certain studios you don't have to worry about with Microsoft, like with Turn 10, and
that's about it.
And who's the other one that's doing Fable? Playground.
Well, Playground, you don't have to worry about them when they're making Forza Horizon. The jury's still out. We have to see how they do the role playing game. But no, and then Obsidian's the other one, and probably Bethesda and some of the other studios under ZeniMax. But yeah, Bethesda's Bethesda, right? I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna I think we all know what we're getting with Star. Everyone's like, and I always play devil's advocate with myself. I'll say, we don't know what we're getting with Bethesda. We don't know what we're getting with Starfield yet, because we haven't seen enough of it really, and blah blah blah. But realistically, we all know what we're getting with Starfield, right? I mean, it's whether you say it's a Fallout. What is it there? I think it's Fallout in space. Everybody else likes to call it Skyrim in space. Whatever you want to call it. I think we know what we're getting there. But the one thing I would say when it comes to Phil or it comes to Matt Booty, the only thing I would say with them is the there's a lack of urgency. It seems like there's a lack of urgency. And if you don't believe me, just go reference the Game Awards last night. It's like nobody would have thought at the executive level to be like, we need to ask some of our directors that are running these studios that we need some footage, we need something, we need a release date. That's where when you say management is in charge of schedule. Right, they're gonna keep that needle moving, and then the heads are gonna be like, well, we need more time or we need less time. the fact that we went through an entire award show that really everyone was starting to say was Microsoft's like new E3 like place to be, they didn't show anything at a crucial time where they had a year where they didn't present any games at all to us. So that's where I would point the finger at management. However, I do like BG's point. I think when it comes down to the games themselves, that's not a Phil or Matt. Phil and Matt aren't developing these games. They're not making the storyboards. They're not doing all this work behind the scenes. That's not them. So I think when it comes to the games themselves, we should maybe start to steer a little bit more of a look at the directors or whoever's running these studios. Somebody else was going to say something. I don't know if it was Kofi. Kofi, were you going to mention something or BRAP? I apologize. I took the mic from you guys.
There was, but I'm forgetting it.
that happens quite a bit, especially as I ramble. I shout out to the great Joey VR. He says he agrees with Persona. He says Lightfall, let's fire new grappling hook 2. Got the $100 expansion pack. Shout out to Joey. Go ahead, Kofi.
Well, really quick, it wasn't really on specifically what you guys were talking about, but just really quick, I just wanted to talk about how happy I was with the games announced at the VGAs. Absolutely. I am a massive, especially for the most recent release, being 10 years ago, Armored Core. Armored Core 5 is just like a special game in my heart. I know maybe nobody played it. I remember just being that was like the last game I bought at GameStop because I rarely ever go there. But I remember I was on the live stream with on Saltiest, shout out to the Salt Nation.
Yes.
On there, and Chris Reicher's like, Kofi, I think this is going to be Armored Core, and I'm like, stop! Like that is not what they're going to announce. That would be amazing, and then it happened, and I just couldn't believe it. So for all of those From Software fans who might not know this series, give it a look.
No, hold up. No, Kofi, don't do that. Kofi, don't do that.
What do you do? What do you do, Persona? What do you do?
You telling these new age Elden Ring fans, that don't know that Armored Core, that's hardcore shit. That's hardcore shit.
Yes, it is.
You understand?
It really is.
Don't think you going in there and you gonna get a blood sword and start swiping motherfuckers. No. That Armored Core is some hardcore shit.
It is.
These new age From fans that just found Souls games with Elden Ring, they gonna buy that thinking, oh, okay, Elden Ring is fun. This is gonna be great. And they gonna be in for a rude awakening, boy.
They're gonna be upset.
They're gonna be upset.
Yep,
I'm telling you.
They're gonna be rage quitting.
Yep. Because that's what's gonna happen. People gonna say, "Oh, it's From Software. They made Elden Ring, which was amazing." So by default, people are just gonna buy into this.
You're right.
I'm telling you, Armored Core is a very hardcore mech assault game.
It really is.
Like hardcore.
It's not a walk in the park.
No, I think
they're not going to like. A lot of people are not going to like that.
I mean, the reveal trailer they showed you told you that. Like, if after you see that reveal trailer, you're like, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. You're not paying attention. Like, the trailer told you that.
That trailer meant business.
No, the trailer was intense.
You know what's great, Kofi? I mean, this is the first Armored Core, like a decade?
Yep, a decade, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, and so I had heard rumors that they might show this. So I'm like, that's not going to happen. I thought From they're really focused on Souls and Elden Ring and those games, and they showed that. I'm like, oh my gosh!
And the way
like
he announced it tells you that it's a serious business that he got that on his stage. You could see.
He needed
a handkerchief after that announcement.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the Game Awards, and it was nice because, we got the FTC news earlier in the day, so it was nice to have this kind of, focus on really what I think what Jeff Keighley's done very well with the Game Awards. It's a celebration of gaming, and there were so many different games. You could see the passion for the developers as they had their acceptance speeches, and I think about Chris Judge and his speech, but even Chris Judge's speech was very there's a lot of emotion.
It was very moving. Yes.
Yeah.
Very eye-opening when he said that. When he found out Corey wasn't going to be the director of the game, he quit. I was like, whoa.
Well,
did he say like no? Yeah, did he say like fuck no? I'm not doing this.
Yeah, but I mean,
he quit.
That's the thing, though. But I respect him for that. Like the relationship he had with the director. Think about being the voice actor. That's then the director's telling you and leading you, and then you find out the guy who legitimately is responsible for a lot of the success in that game is not doing it. You're like, wait a minute, I don't know if I like if you listen. Persona, you're like the top actor in Hollywood, right? All of a sudden, you just did a Scorsese film, and now you're doing the sequel, and you're like, "Yo, sign me up." You show up, and Scorsese's not there. You're like, I ain't doing it.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I ain't doing it, man. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
You know, I mean, shit. And I mean, that's just the way it is. So much respect to Chris, man. He deserved that award and then some. Shout out to Reggie Skull. He says, it kills me how Xbox fans blame all their shortcomings on PlayStation. Maybe not all of them, Reggie. Take it easy. Not so bad. The great WoolleyGamer's here. He goes, Mooch, Death Stranding 2, I can't get over it. I really enjoyed Death Stranding 1. I know a lot of people didn't. It's a different,
I can't wait for Death Stranding 2.
It's a different type of game. It's not,
this one looks like it's gonna be more action.
Yep.
I'm hoping that it's gonna be more actiony because
I do think
listen, man, you know, I ain't grow up to be a package delivery, man. I ain't trying to do no package delivery shit, man.
No, I don't.
Special delivery.
I do think they're gonna go more action in this one here. BG, didn't you go off on Death Stranding when that game came out?
Yeah, I'm the biggest Death Stranding hater. Norman Reedus has me blocked. I mean,
I know, I saw that.
Norman Reedus
blocked you?
He never even talked to him. He
Wow.
said.
Wow. What'd you do? BG, what'd you do?
I've never even associated with him, man, but he must have seen my tweets. Like, had to. I don't know any other reason he would block me.
He probably said he's a trash voice actor.
Oh, no.
He said, I'm not having that.
Any trashing I ever did about the game.
Gets to the actor. That's amazing. You should be proud of yourself.
I just went to his.
That might be an accomplishment, actually.
I just went to his Twitter account one day and like seen I was blocked. I was like, "What is this real? Is this real account?"
That's crazy.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild.
Because I like him as an actor.
Funny,
I just hate everything about Death Stranding. That's all.
So Death Stranding did not move the needle at all for BG yesterday.
No.
I saw BG's tweet. He's like, Death Stranding 1 was trash. 2 will be trash too, I think is what you said.
I was hoping it wouldn't get a sequel. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was hoping it never got a sequel.
Yo, I'm a fan of Death Stranding, but BG has some masterful Death Stranding hate.
Yeah, he does.
It was like systematic, just dismantling it.
Oh, but E, that one scene with Die Hard, man, that might be one of the best.
I will say this though, I
like
like Death Stranding, but I didn't think it warranted a sequel. I thought, I was like, all right, that's a wrap on production. We're good.
I could see that, Mooch. Like I wasn't like I didn't finish the game and it was like, oh, this I want part 2.
I was in the same boat. Like, I'm not mad that it exists, but I was okay with it if it didn't get us.
Exactly, yeah.
But if Persona's, if his request comes through and it is more action based, which I'm thinking it'll be more story, more action. If it gets into that, I'm down. I'm definitely down for that.
Are they gonna have doo-doo bombs again? That's what I want to know.
Absolutely.
They're
Metal Gearifying Death Stranding because he wants to do more of that and he can't do it with actual Metal Gear, so he's kind of adding more Metal Gear.
That thing that came out of the water looked like a Metal Gear. I was like, is that a Metal Gear? What is that?
That's exactly why I'm asking. It kind of seemed very Metal Gear-esque in its design. Yeah.
It did, yeah. I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Well, a lot of people said we were going to see a Metal Gear Solid remake or remaster or something of that nature. It looked that was false. So I guess that's not happening.
I don't know. I wouldn't count that out just yet.
No, but I thought the show overall was a success. I think that what Jeff Keighley's doing is a celebration for gaming, and I think it gets better every single year. So
it's got a lot better, Mooch. Yeah,
I love it.
It's great because you see so many different games being revealed, and you get to see different publishers or not publishers, developers.
Mm-hmm.
There's that musical. Hey, big shout out to the Fluke guy, by the way.
Yeah, Fluke
the guy that was
he was going hard.
The guy was. Did you see him? I mean, like he was like
him.
He played like 5 different instruments
in one song.
Yeah, I looked at him. He's like putting one instrument down, picking another one up, playing it. He was shaking his head. He was hyped.
I've never seen anybody play the piccolo like that before. That was unbelievable.
That guy, I tell you, that guy was amazing. Yeah. And then there was the Bill Clinton guy.
And of course, there was the Bill Clinton guy. Which I was watching that live. I didn't hear what he said. It was so muffled. I couldn't hear him. So I thought it was just another. I thought it was one of the developers, like kids or something. And he was just like, blah blah. Blah. And they tuned him out.
He was standing behind.
Apparently, he said something that was anti-Semitic. What he was saying.
Oh, did he
really?
Did he
really?
I didn't hear it.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
That was some anti-Semitic shit.
I still don't know what he said.
He specifically said,
I wouldn't repeat it. I wouldn't repeat that.
I don't know what he said, and we won't say it on the show. I have no idea who he is. I don't know who he is.
But the security, how did he get in? Security. So the way it happened was when Joseph Ferris announced that Elden Ring won and Miyazaki and them were walking up.
Oh.
They were walking up from where they were sitting. Everyone's standing, clapping, whatever. And then when you see the camera pan to the audience a bit, you see him walking up his aisle, like a different aisle from them. And he just walked straight up with them. And then if you look while Miyazaki and the team are giving like their speech, if you look to the sides, you actually see Jeff Keighley and like a bunch of the stage crew and all that on the side worried because they're like, yo, who the fuck is that? Like you see it on both sides. That's why you see him kind of looking and moving out of the camera's viewpoints because he's trying not to be seen just yet.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy, man.
I'll say this. Jeff's lucky that nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like nothing serious happened to
they should have better security at that show.
I think at that point, if Jeff's having, again, I wasn't there. I don't know what's going through Jeff's mind, but I'm just.
It was open to the public, so of course, some idiot or some weirdo is gonna get in there and do some stupid shit. And apparently he's only 15.
Well, I did see that he's known to troll. Apparently, he's been in trouble before. So.
Well, I think he told his friends. What I was reading, he told his friends he was going to do this like 4 days ago. But I guess like if what Persona was saying is true, like with you saying that they were like Jeff was kind of huddled up, like who's this guy? If that's the case, like I do think they probably should have. Well, probably should have had security go out there because God forbid if something happened.
Absolutely.
Because he was up there the whole time. I was like, wait a minute. Like I watched that. I'm like, did he just come up like towards the end?
You guys remember?
And then you go back, you see him standing behind Miyazaki and the translator. I'm like, what?
And if something happened to Miyazaki, you would have all these souls. Elden Ring stands on your head. Man, that's the one guy this year you didn't want to get hurt.
I don't know if you guys remember
them Elden Ring fans, bro.
Yo,
they like Nintendo fans, boy. They crazy.
They'll come after you. Yeah, absolutely.
They would showed up. They would have showed up cosplaying.
Did you guys remember back in the day? Remember the MTV Movie Award or whatever, Music Awards or Movie Awards, whatever? It doesn't matter. There used to be some crazy shit. People running on stage doing crazy shit. Then they upped the security. And you don't see it as much anymore. You don't see it much or at all. But it took them like 5 years to get like solid security. Because like I remember, who was it there? I don't even know who it was. The people sing like Californication. I don't even know what the hell. What is it?
Chili Peppers.
The Chili Peppers were up there, and while they were accepting their award, it was like Christmas time. They had a tree. Some dude climbed the tree like behind him. He jumped out of the audience and started climbing the tree, and then the tree landed just behind them as they were accepting the award. And it was like, oh, this is happening on live TV. And I'm like, I thought the guy was like the drummer or something because he had no, he looked like the drummer of the band. He was he's crazy. He ran up the tree.
Wait, Mooch, did someone get beat up at an award show recently or running on stage? Someone got beat up.
No, you're talking about the Chappelle concert when that dude ran up on stage.
That was Chappelle.
That's what it was.
Chappelle. That was Chappelle. Yeah.
Oh, he got
Yeah, but they were on him though. The security was there. Like the one thing I thought was interesting was like us talking about it here is one thing, but like I saw a lot of like big news sites running with this, and I was like, man, you give that kind of publicity, that's what they want because they're gonna do that troll shit again. You know what I mean? It's like this.
So someone on Twitter took that picture of the kid and did the invader, paint him kind of red.
Yeah,
and I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but, so you probably shouldn't even give.
Somebody already modded Bill Clinton into Elden Ring.
I saw that.
Oh, did they really?
Yes, I saw that. Yep, on PC you can be Bill Clinton.
Oh man, not Bill Clinton, man. Poor Bill.
Yeah,
Willie.
Yeah, the internet is just insane. It's crazy, right? That being said, guys, listen, I've kept these guys here till 9:30. It's 9:30 here in New York, man. I got to be honest with you. What a great show. What a great panel. Just the chemistry flowed all night long. So, and including the chat, you guys were all great as well. I'll go in reverse order here. Please, guys, hit the like button. We had over 500 people tonight, guys. Please, let's get over 200 likes before you guys leave. I appreciate it. Asante, honestly, you came late, but you came right on time, as far as I'm concerned. Right when we got some of the hot topics. So, Asante, thanks for being here, buddy. I know you had some family stuff going on, but let people know they can find you. And, of course, I'll be bothering you again to get you here for the full 2 hours, of course.
Oh, no worries. And I do apologize.
Fridays, no problem, buddy.
I have to put my spawn down. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, my spawn.
The seed need to be dealt with, as they say. But no, I appreciate the invite. It's always good to have an invite from you and a great panel as usual. K Asante, TKO Asante, Xbox, PlayStation, all the places you want to find me. Myself and the Slanderous One do the Gaming Circle podcast on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You come, you enjoy some talk, you enjoy all the conspiracy theories. A lot of popcorn on that show. This weekend's going to be very interesting. We have, I think, 108 Dragons is coming on. Another great community member will be on our show.
Very
weekend,
cool.
So.
Yes, I believe that's Lemon, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's Lemon, yeah.
Awesome dude.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. Great guy to
He'll be
talk to.
online.
I've podcast with him as well.
Very passionate dude. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, that'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to check that out. Thank you, Asante. I appreciate that. The great creative Kofi. Kofi, listen, you said it was, and I like how you clocked it. You said it was 2 years. Let me tell you something right now. It'll be like 2 weeks, and we're going to have you back on the show. So, Kofi, great to have you back here. Great to have your insight, buddy. And just thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely, man. It is great being back here talking with this panel. I rarely get to spend time with you guys, but I'm glad to kind of be back in the gaming circle. I actually took a 6-month break this year just due to me trying to do other things, organizing my life. But yeah, great to be back gaming. Guys, you can catch me at creative_Kofi on Twitter. I'd like to call myself the import gamer, so I'm always playing Japanese games that have not yet come to Eastern Shores. That is right now, including a game that is available on English on Steam, but only in Japanese on PlayStation called Monochrome Mobius. So I'll be sharing my thoughts on that. Obviously, I'm playing Legend of Heroes. People know I'm a huge fan of that. And Dragon Quest X, which is also somehow not localized by Square Enix. So, yeah, man, you guys can catch me doing those things.
Appreciate that, buddy. The great Eric Jackson. Eric, like usual, buddy, your forte came into play tonight. Thanks for setting everybody straight, me included. Eric, let everybody know where they can find you, buddy. And as usual, I'll flash the Mooch symbol up in the air, and hopefully I can get you to come back to the show real soon. Thanks, E.
Always, man. No doubt. Great panel tonight. Always great chopping it up with everybody here. Great show. So yeah, thanks for having me, man. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X, Eric J. Yep, that's where I'm at.
Appreciate it, E. Thank you. And then the great Gaming with Persona. Persona speaks. Persona, honestly, like I said, I wish we could get more banter going on in the chat, but you just got too many fans now. It's not my fault. That's not my fault. That's just because you guys are too good on whoops. So listen, let people know where they can find you. Let them know about what's going on tomorrow with Jay Bari. And as always, man, I always appreciate your input. Love your takes on gaming. And the one thing I always tell people, the reason I really like what you guys do on Saturday morning is, yes, you cover some news, but an absolute shit ton of the show is strictly gaming. So, check out Whoops. And Persona, I'll let you do your own plug, but thanks for being here tonight, buddy.
Yeah, for sure. First off, man, thank you for having me. It's always fun being on CrossFire with the panel, man. Shout out to the chat. Yeah, man, I'm part of the Mooch family.
Yes, sir.
They love me now, so we good. We good out here. You feel me? And for me, man, if you guys want, you can follow me on Twitter at Persona Speaks. Also, every Saturday at 11 a.m. on the official What's Up PlayStation YouTube channel, me and Bari, we do a podcast called What's Up PlayStation or Whoops. And this Saturday is going to be a good show, man. It's a lot to talk about, man. We're talking about the Game Awards. We're giving our thoughts on Chained Echoes. We're giving our thoughts on the Forspoken demo. It's going to be a lot, man. It's a lot of great things we're going to be talking about. So definitely check us out, man. We really appreciate it.
Yo, that was the one thing we didn't
talk about.
I know.
I actually wanted to talk about that. I was playing that before the show started.
I'm actually going to play it as soon as I'm done with the show because I downloaded it. I didn't get to it last night.
Yeah, I played it earlier.
Yeah, I played it yesterday.
I'm hearing I really thought we were going to see a lot of negative press, and I'm hearing a lot of positive on a game
it's very. It takes some getting used to because so much going on. But once you get your flow, oh my god, man, this game.
Persona, do they start you in the beginning or like most demos? Do they start?
No, it's not. It's a vertical slice.
Yeah. Okay,
it's a vertical slice. So it's just gonna start you in an area of the world.
Like it's a little bit like it requires you learning a bit more than you thought you'd know. You know how if you played games a while, you'll assume, oh yeah, I know what this button does, what this button does. No, they make you relearn some things.
I agree.
But after you play it a while, you realize the reason why they made you relearn it because it flows better in the game that way. It's a good.
And it seems like
what's so crazy too is, oh yeah, go ahead. Say what you was gonna say, Eric.
Oh no, I was saying it seems like it's gonna have some pretty deep systems as far as like combat and stuff like that. So
Absolutely.
What's so crazy too is like the vertical slice, that part of the world. It's so big. Pause. Like it's a lot there, and I'm just like, damn, for this to be just like a small part of the world, it's a huge map. And I'm like, damn, like this is. I love the movement, the fighting. Yo, man, the game. We gonna talk about it tomorrow, but yeah, the game is definitely fire.
I'm
man.
just excited to hear that it's got more complexity than I thought it would, and people are digging it. They're enjoying it. And remember, the game.
Yeah, play it. Definitely play it. You're gonna like it, Mooch.
Yeah, I downloaded it already. I'm ready to go as soon as the show is over. So I appreciate that the positive vibes are good there. I will definitely be checking out your review too tomorrow morning. And then Broken Games HDR, absolutely great to have BG on the show. BG, you know, I try to space it out because I know you got a lot going on and you do a lot with the channel. But I love having you on, especially when we have these crucial weeks like we have right now. There's just so much news. Everything from the $70 games to what's going on with Activision to what's going on with the Game Awards. To get your input, man, was really, really great. Love having you on the show. Let people know where they can find you. And like I said, you know I'm going to come and somehow bother you again, BG, to get you on the show real soon.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm always down to be on. So yeah, you can find me, my channel, Broken Games HDR. Same thing on Twitter, Broken Games HDR. Weapon Wheel Podcasts, Sundays at 5:45. Playing God of War, beating these berserkers right now.
God Almighty. How many now for that trophy though, BG? Do you have to beat them all or just one?
I didn't even check the trophies yet. Is all of them?
Yeah, you got to beat all of them. There's 12 in total, including the king, and you got to beat all of them.
Most of these dudes are
my ass
sweet
right now.
Most of these dudes are sweet. The only one that I couldn't beat like early on, because like I try to beat them as soon as like they appear, is the ones that are paired up. I'm like, oh, you need backup? Okay, you know, I guess.
Yeah. Those ones they get a little bit ridiculous.
Any secrets to any of those berserkers though? Like, is it better to use the chains? Is it better to use the axe? Is it better to use the spear?
Everything.
Everything. Really and truly everything.
Everything. Yeah. Cycle through your weapons. I'm fighting the king right now. He's actually kind of kicking my butt.
Yeah, man. So, I'm not looking forward to it. I was doing what BG was doing. I was taking him on once I found him. And then when I found the second one, I got my ass kicked. So I was like, you know what I'll do? I'm going to wait and come back. So I'll take them on when I'm a little bit stronger. But from what I'm hearing, that may not really change a whole lot, will it?
No, it will. The stronger you get, some of them. Well, not. I mean, they still gonna beat your ass, but you know, you'll just be able to survive a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm looking forward to that one. I mean, I'm
especially
looking forward
depending on what difficulty you play.
The one trophy I'm not looking forward to getting, but I'm getting that platinum. I don't give a shit. That being said, man,
King and Nah going.
No,
that's another one.
No, I don't even want to think about it yet. Shout out to everybody that's here again, guys. Please, on the way out, hit that like button. It means the world to me. Hit the subscribe button, too. We got a lot of new subscribers tonight. Shout out to TrueWiddy. He said it was the participation awards. Horizon got snubbed. Oh, we didn't get into Horizon. Great game. Didn't get the respect it did. But you know what, though? It's funny. People say that, TrueWiddy. I'll say this much. When people keep making the point to reference that means that they are getting attention. People know, gamers know how good that game was. So, you know, it's still got its flowers and respect. Just didn't get it on stage. That being said, we'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Outstanding show. Again, please, guys, on the way out, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out and enjoy the weekend.